a smart car, or anything in between. I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12671. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Good morning, everybody. It is 7 a.m. on Friday, August 4th. Today in Baton Rouge, expect sunny skies with a high of 100. Coming up on OTB, we have a lot of guests. Ross Jackson of the Locked On Saints podcast joins the show at 7:30. At 8:15, we talk to Chop Broad in studio. At 8:30, Bill Bender joins the show to talk college football. And at 9 a.m., Billy Embody joins the show. You can follow today's show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN. Or catch us on YouTube at the 104.5 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. Hour number 1 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
Let we go.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, and welcome in to Off the Bench. Hey, it's okay, Mario. I literally have off campus on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge written on this paper. It's Friday. It's that kind of week, but we are here. We have made it. We do have a bunch of guests today, including one that Mario didn't mention, Chris Doring, coming on at 9:30. I know he's a Gator, Mario, but he's worn more LSU uniforms than anybody I know.
Separate sticky sheet, but yeah.
So,
shout out to Chris.
Excited for all those guests. Going to talk, obviously, a lot of football today. NFL, college football, going back and forth. But, as we always do before we get into it, let's go around the room. Taylor, the entire Hall of Fame game, you watched every single snap?
I did. I may have missed a couple. You know, I was eating some dip. We had dinner and all that. But
some dip. Did you have?
No.
Did you tailgate for the Hall of Fame game?
No. It was just like, so my wife made beef enchiladas, and she had like a lot of leftover meat, so she just made like, I don't know, like a queso thing. I didn't know she was doing it.
Like you had like a little football party for the Hall of Fame game. That's
if you want to look at it like that, then yes, I did. Yeah, and you know what? I enjoyed it because I've been without football since February, and it's not fair. So I enjoyed it.
I would love to know, Citizens Bank poll question of the day, like how much of the Hall of Fame preseason game did you watch? You know, 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3, the full thing. Because I was background fodder. I certainly caught some of it. I didn't watch all 4 quarters. I watched Kellen Mond struggle. That certainly popped on the TV there. But, no, I didn't watch all 4 quarters. Mario, did you watch all 4 quarters?
I watched most of the first quarter, and I saw the pregame, festivities. It was cool to see guys like Joe Thomas and Darrelle Revis that I grew up with go in. Always makes me feel a little old, honestly, too. But that was cool.
Oh, it makes you feel old?
Yes.
It makes you feel old?
Yes.
I played against Zach Thomas. I played against Joe Thomas. I played against Darrelle Revis. It makes me feel ancient.
I bet Joey Porter Jr. is about to start playing too. That'll be the same feeling. But
yeah, because I played against Joey Porter.
but yeah, that part was cool. I watched a little bit of the first quarter, not much else after that. But definitely happy to see football on the TV. Good feeling.
Yes, it absolutely was. Football is like we have like 7 different times when we say football is officially back. I think like the 1st of June is one because like you get summer workouts going. Certainly. Once you get into the month of July, like when I go to spring meetings, it feels like football season. When we go to media days, it's like, all right, is this the start of football season? Training camp, the opening day, NFL feels like the first day of football season, but now it is officially. Like we have a game. It is already in the books. It was Cleveland Browns 21, New York Jets 16. Not that we really care about what the score was, but we had actual football to watch, and we have LSU on a practice field. We have the Saints who have already been on a practice field. As far as the game, obviously, like we're kind of joking here, there's not a lot to break down. It was just great to see it on TV. Taylor did not like the Aaron Rodgers love fest. It's something you've mentioned 4 times, I think, already this morning.
Okay, it's just like if it would have been a drinking game as to how many times they mentioned Aaron Rodgers in a preseason game that he didn't play in. I mean, you would have struggled getting to work this morning, Jake. It was bad. Like at the beginning of the game, I'm trying to remember who the reporter was. They were like, yeah, I talked to Aaron before the game. He's really calm and relaxed. I'm like, he's not playing. I'm calm and relaxed sitting on my couch. I'm not playing either. Like, okay. It was just, I don't know. It was a little over the top for me.
All right, let's go ahead and dive into some LSU news from the first day of training camp. Obviously, a lot of excitement around the program. We got a lot of sound to play from Brian Kelly, including his thoughts on the first day of camp.
Good work today. I thought, the realistic expectation is that there's a number of veterans back here that, they're able to, recognize and understand the way to prepare in relative terms, practice, right? The way I wanted practice to go last year at this time, we were teaching them how to practice. So, there should be that expectation that, you come into practice one that guys know how to do the things that you expect to prepare the right way. And I think by and large that happened today. And then there's some young guys that are trying to figure it out.
All right, so I've told this story before, but let me paint this picture. What Brian Kelly's talking about right there, we're trying to teach them how to practice, and you're probably listening to that saying, wait a minute, these guys have practiced football their entire lives. What do you mean? I mean, they were just coming off another football season. Some of those guys were on a national championship team. I was at the practice that he was talking about, and I was there for the full practice, and I remember about 4 times he's kind of trying to coach them on how to practice without pads. And by the 5th time, he stopped the entire practice, called everybody up, and had a real conversation with them about how we are going to practice without pads. Some guys were trying to do too much. You had guys dragging other guys to the ground. You had guys going shoulder on shoulder like they had pads on. Like those were things that he had to kind of get this team together and say, hey, you might have done it this way in the past, but we have got to kind of hit reset here. And this is how we're going to practice. Like, imagine being to that extreme, stopping practice after having to, like, say something about 4 or 5 times, and then now where you're at as the LSU head coach. It's a big difference. The big difference between trying to continue in your in-training camp to teach them how you want it to be done to now they know how you want it to be done. Now, as he mentioned there, the veteran players, they're helping out the younger players. Right? They're kind of teaching them the ways of the Brian Kelly LSU, no longer what they used to do. And it might seem like a very small thing, but think about having to stop practice, stop teaching, stop coaching, stop implementing your game plan because they were still learning each other last year. So that seems like something that's like a small detail, but actually being there and seeing him stop practice a year ago, you can go now full speed. You don't have to try to worry about all the small, minute little things just to get to a point where you feel like they are practicing like you want them to practice. Another thing that we talked about yesterday that was going to be the first that I know of in college football, certainly in major college football, was Brian Kelly was going to give injury updates, like real injury updates. No, he's got a nick or no, he's kind of banged up, but actually going to give you an injury report like it was the NFL. And here's him talking about why he's going to do that.
We'll be transparent with injuries. We thought it was important, given the nature of what's going on today out there relative to reporting and gaming, that we wanted to make sure that we were transparent with injuries, not putting any pressure on anybody here to guess who's in, who's out. So we came up with a protocol and procedure that's similar to what the NFL does relative to reporting injuries. So we'll do that twice during the week, so you have a good sense of who's in what state, and then we get to Saturday. If somebody was doubtful, we'll give you available or unavailable. The only caveat would be if somebody gets sick, we'll give you a sickness update as well.
Again, no one's doing that in college football. It's going to make our jobs much easier, but like there's a lot of people asking maybe why you would do that. He actually continued with that answer. Mario, go ahead and play 7 and 8 back-to-back here because he's talking about the same thing.
I wanted to be proactive and not reactive. I'm not saying that happened. I'm not saying that it would happen, but I think it's better to be proactive in those situations and take away even the temptation to even have that in this building and not be that next school that goes down that path, right? We talked about, clearly nobody should have, a gaming app on their phone. There are geolocators on your phone for every one of those apps. And so getting those apps off your phone and making sure that there's no geolocators because they know where you are. And there should not be any of those on any of our players' phones or anybody that's in this building. So I think it's just much more about being proactive than reactive than anything else. It's going to be consistent. I think there have been weeks where, I've tried to do that and then it got into, look, I've had a hard time figuring out the difference between a cruciate and, a posterior ligament. So, and half of the time I think I've been wrong. So it just makes it easier. I think it's cleaner. I think it becomes more consistent. And I think then you have the expectation of knowing what you've got in front of you each and every week as you look at what player could be, probable, questionable, doubtful, out, moving throughout the entire week. And then everybody else does too.
So obviously he's talking about betting sites. He's talking about the geolocators. He's talking about players betting on anything, right? I mean, we know the situation going on in the state of Iowa. Iowa and Iowa State, I think the last time I saw it, it's up to 7 players that were involved on betting in games in which they were involved in, right? You try to be proactive, like you mentioned. You try to get rid of that situation because it does feel like this could become a real problem. We're just talking about one state. There's over 30 states, if I'm not mistaken, that would allow sports betting. And so if another state does an audit, what are they going to find? And so you're trying to go ahead, you're trying to get in front of it before it becomes an issue if it hasn't already been an issue, right? So this is a proactive move. Again, fellas, nobody's doing this in college football. Do you think now LSU doing it, LSU being the brand that it is, being on the forefront of it, we'll see other programs kind of follow in their lead there?
Yeah, 100%. I think you'll see a lot more of this, and it's a good idea by LSU. My mom used to always tell me, try to eliminate risk all you can. I think this is what LSU is kind of doing here, eliminating the risk. I like it.
Yeah, we talked about it. Me and Mario did. It was either Tuesday or Wednesday when you and T-Bob were both out, and I kind of asked the question, like, how do you solve this problem? Because it seems to be a pretty big problem in college football. This may seem like a small step, but yeah, this could be a solution to that big problem.
I'm just thinking if they do major audits across this country, how many you're going to find?
A lot.
I mean, Iowa, 7, and that's just right now, like what we know. You start doing it, and you start having guys that were betting on the games that they played in. Now, nobody else has said they were going to, but I have to imagine that it will come down the line here pretty soon, and we'll see what comes of that. All right, we will take our first break because we went there because that was one of the major things yesterday, because LSU is the literal first to do it, to release an injury report like an NFL team. And so a lot of us were interested in why LSU was doing that. We thought it had to do, obviously, with the gambling. But now that they are doing that, how many other teams and programs will follow suit and have the same access? I can tell you this, like, selfishly, from what we do, it makes our job much easier than trying to find a source, find a way. Hey, is this person playing? And then if you have that information, like, what do you do with it? You don't want to be the person that leaks that information out there. So you're trying to just figure out who's going to be available for the game. Now, all that goes out the window. You know who's going to be available for the game because you're going to have an actual injury report like they do, again, in the National Football League. All right, we'll take our first break. When we come back, we'll start to break down some of the individual players that Brian Kelly talked about in his press conference yesterday. We'll have that for you. We got Ross Jackson to break down Saints camp in about 15 minutes from now. Stay locked in. It is Off the Bench.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, go to All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. Once you get to the website, top left corner, click on the new tab. Go down to Build Your Toyota. Because, again, you can build it however you want it. That doesn't mean just adding to your Toyota. You can customize it. If you want to take something away, maybe there's a feature on there that you're like, I don't really need that. We can take that off, and it'll save you money. You can add more features, whatever you want to do. you can customize it. I mean, we say it all the time. T-Bob's taking full advantage of it with the Murdered Out Mini. You can do whatever you want there as well. And that's in the new vehicles. Remember, if you're leasing and renting, the full fleet is available. So everything is ready to go. It's not 2 or 3 that you get to choose from. You can choose from everything that they have there on the lot. You don't get that many places. In fact, I don't know where you would get that outside of All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge. So go ahead, go to the website, check out the leasing, check out the new vehicles certainly, and check out the per day rental prices. Again, everything is available. All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. LSU back on the practice field. It's day 2 of fall camp. We'll have a camp report. And the Saints are back on the practice field. Join us Friday, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
You know, we talked to the defensive backs about the deficit that they have in this particular drill so they don't get frustrated, because there is no pass rush. There is no clock. They're playing man-to-man on a field that's 53 and a third by 120. They have the whole field, and the receiver can do whatever he wants out there. So it's so important that they understand that the drill is really about their technique. It's not about a winner or a loser in that drill. So it's so important that technique is at the front of their mindset when they go into that drill. So we're really looking at that more than anything else.
All right, welcome back into OTB. That was Brian Kelly talking about the defensive backs and really the corners, because that's a position that we talked about a lot over the last couple of days and certainly weeks and probably months. It's a position, and in that answer, it makes me think it's what we've kind of talked about, talented room. You have talent in there. You have players that were 5-star guys out of high school, like a Denver Harris. You're looking for a J.K. Johnson, who signed with Ohio State, obviously, to come and be the player that you think he can be. You're looking for Deuce Chestnut, who was an all-conference player in the ACC, to kind of live up to what he was in that conference, because you do have the talent in that room. But now you've got to try to get all of that talent together. You've got 5 guys, I believe 5 guys that can play and help you, but you've got to get that room ready to go. Now, the safety room, it's a different situation. I feel good about the 2 guys that are there. We talked about it yesterday. You got Brooks and Burns. Feel good about it. What's behind them? That's where you get worried. And Major Burns has missed major time. Sorry, I'm a dad of 5. Like, I can't help it. Like, dad jokes are going to come. Is he going to be healthy? Is he going to be ready to go? Can he play a full season? Because who do you have ready to go? Well, you have young players. Talented players again, but young players. So that's really the room. I don't know how y'all feel, but like for me, this LSU football team will win or lose the SEC depending on that room, the safeties and the corners.
I think that's a fair evaluation. You feel really good about the front 7, and like you said, it's guys that are talented. They just don't have that in-game experience. I like LaTerrence Welsh a lot.
I do too.
Just his mentality.
Yeah.
I remember when he was tweeting to people when Dwight McGlothern, before he left, he was telling him, hey, let's stay, and you should stay and be this elite. We could be an elite duo. He ended up going to Arkansas anyway, but I love the mentality there after Eli Ricks left, and I hope LaTerrence Welsh, perfects his craft and gets to show some of that talent.
No, Welch certainly seems like a premier talent. I think the most important guy in this corner room is going to be Deuce Chestnut, because he's the only guy in that room that has a lot of that experience. I mean, he's a 2-year starter at a Power 5 program in Syracuse, because Denver Harris is talented, LaTerrence Welch is talented, Zy Alexander's coming up a level. Deuce Chestnut's that only guy in that room that has that big-time D1 experience. I think he's got to be the leader in that room.
No, it's a good comp, because he's done it, and not only done it, but done it at a high level, and he's done it against really good receivers. I mean, the ACC certainly during the last couple of years has had you look across the board. It's not just Clemson and Florida State. I mean, North Carolina, NC State, they've had pros out there. So, like, you might roll your eyes at the ACC, but no, that still means something to be an all-conference player. Now, I'm curious about what they do maybe at the nickel position, because it's been Sage Ryan over the last couple of years. But when you look at what you have, which is 5 corners that I believe can really help you and play if they had to, compared to 2 safeties right now that we know can play and help you, what do you do at the nickel position? Do you try to train Sage Ryan to be more of a true safety to give you some more depth, because he has played a lot of football? Now it's been at a different position. He's played inside at the nickel. What do you do with him? Do you move forward with him? Because you still need growth from Sage Ryan. There's been good. There's also been bad. Okay, so what do you do at that position? Do you move a Deuce Chestnut to the nickel position? Move Sage Ryan, again, to a full-time safety position. Now you have a guy who has played a lot of football. He gives you some depth. He can come in. You feel good about his coverage skills at that position, because you can be creative. You have a guy that is safety size that's been playing the nickel. Again, there's been good, there's been bad. And I'd say towards the end of the year, more good than bad. So, like, he's getting better. But you know that you have a cover guy like a Deuce Chestnut, and he just feels like the one that would go and slide inside. And, again, that's not a bad thing. It's not a slight at him saying he can't do it outside. Remember, in college football and in the NFL now, you'll have your best receiver a lot of times end up in the slot because you think you're creating that mismatch with your third best cover guy. So you can get creative. It's not just, hey, Sage Ryan's been the nickel. Let's keep him there. He's been there for the last year and a half, 2 years. You can move one of those 5 corners that we're talking about into that position and then have a little bit more depth because you created that depth there just by moving a guy. Continuing breaking down the LSU practice. The guy that I talked about, it's Kelly 9 here, Mario. The guy that I talked about being the most excited about, the guy that I wanted to learn more about coming into training camp was Aaron Anderson from Alabama, from the state of Louisiana. We all saw him play in high school. He goes to Alabama, and now he's coming back to LSU. Brian Kelly talked about him specifically in his press conference.
Mostly running him out of the slot receiver. I think there's going to be a lot more to see from him, as we continue to build the offense. I think you'll see him involved in touching the ball in other areas as well, from the backfield. I think you'll see him in the special teams game. So today was the first glimpse. Obviously, he's got speed, explosiveness. He's kind of what we thought he would be. Our strength coaches really liked his work ethic, very strong in the weight room. So I would say that I think we've just scratched the surface in terms of what we can do with him.
I wonder what the final product is going to look like. You heard him talking there, all the different things that he can do. I wonder, maybe what do you make a priority? Is offense going to be more the priority? Is it going to be special teams? I mean, it can be a combination of both. That's one of the things that we kind of don't talk about. You can be the main returner and still be a dude on offense. We rolled through the list yesterday of returners, and think about the list that we gave you. None of those guys were return specialists. Like even Trendon Holiday. Trendon Holiday in 2007 would line up at tailback dotting the I sometimes. And he'd run toss dive that y'all love so much. Like I would be at fullback. He'd come in the game. I'd line up at tailback. He'd be in the slot. He'd motion to the tailback position. I'd move up to fullback, and he would run toss dive. You can be creative if you have a guy that can handle it. Now, we are not saying that Aaron Anderson needs to run toss dive, but I'm just giving you an example of the offense at the time, and Trendon was involved in that offense. Yeah, of course he'd do your jet sweeps. He'd line up in the backfield in 2x2, 11 personnel, and he'd do some stuff at the running back position. He'd line up a receiver. Now, Trendon wasn't a guy that was going to go out there, run an 18-yard dig route and catch the ball over the middle, but he had a specialty, and you have to find a way to implement his specialty into your offense, right? So he's a return guy. I wouldn't say return specialist because he could do more for you. We went through the other list of names. I mean, some of the who's who on offense and defense, and Tyron and Buster Davis and Dominic Davis and Kevin Falk, all these guys that have been returners. So you can do both. Now it's on the offensive staff to find a certain package, a certain way to get Aaron Anderson on the field. And if you feel like he has that skill set and you don't feel like you're forcing what he does well, then absolutely you use it on offense and you use it on special teams. Excited. Again, that's why I chose him yesterday. I'm excited to see what he is going to give. The offense, yes, but more special teams because it was such a disaster last year at the punt and kick return positions. So a couple of notes from LSU camp. Again, we have a ton of sound here. Brian Kelly talked for about 20 minutes, a lot to get into, but we're going to do this. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll dive into New Orleans Saints camp. Our guy Ross Jackson is going to join us to do that. We still got a lot of college football news to get to. Apparently there is another Pac-12 team that is right on the doorstep of joining the Big 12. Will the Pac-12 be a conference anymore after this year, after the dust is settled? I know we talk more SEC here, but it's fascinating to see a conference that has been a pillar of college football for a very long time start to crumble right now to the ground. So we'll have that for you as well. We'll be back. It is OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, in Baton
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Pros. Must-has cashier to apply discount barcode at time of purchase. Discount on cabinet purchase only. Coupon cannot be used with any other discount. Valid 7/27/89. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any.
Brandon Holly here. You want a company that has a true lifetime warranty? ReliefWindows.com, baby.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Haniger, join us for Live at Lunch Friday from Ruffino's on Highland Road. Bruce Marshall is with us, and Jimmy's back from vacation with a lot of football going on. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into OTB. Always a pleasure to catch up with our next guest. That is Ross Jackson, of course, host of Locked On Saints there on the Locked On Network. I mean, he does a lot of things, obviously, for the network, but we're here to talk New Orleans Saints. Nobody better to do it with than our guy, Ross Jackson. Ross, we appreciate your time as always.
Hey, man, absolute pleasure. Thanks so much as always for having me on. Hopefully I don't get accosted by the police this time when I'm on the airways.
Man, I heard about that stuff. Mario was so we were out on vacation, and Mario's like, wait till you hear this. I'm like, wait a minute, what? So, yeah, we don't need that, Ross. We don't need that again. I mean, just tell him you're trying to talk to Off the Bench. He needs to go turn his radio on to ESPN New Orleans down there and just, relax a little bit.
Just relax a little bit. Yeah, occupy yourself and do something else. I'm sure there's other things that need your attention besides me being on the phone.
All right, Ross, so let's talk some New Orleans Saints because, like, we're in it now. Like, we have the Hall of Fame game last night. By the way, let's get a little vibe check because we've gone across the room and seen some different answers. How much of the Hall of Fame game did you watch last night?
I barely made it through DeMarcus Ware singing that national anthem, but it's gonna be a no for me, dog. But I know I got through. I got the DTR's touchdown drive.
Yeah,
great. That kind of 93-yard touchdown drive, and I got through probably a little bit beyond that. I think I kind of tuned out after the delay. I was like,
Yes.
all right, this is a preseason game. I'm not sitting through a delay like I would with the Super Bowl. Thank you. And everything. Like, I'm not worried about all that.
Yeah, we've been through a Super Bowl where the lights went out. Yeah, I was at that one as well. You're right. Yeah, I am not waiting through that. Okay, so Taylor's the crazy one because he watched all 4 quarters. I thought that already, but now it is confirmed. All right, Ross, let's talk actual Saints. Now that we're in the nitty-gritty of camp, now that we kind of know a couple of different things, you're starting to see maybe how the positions are taking shape. What has been maybe a surprise to you? Do you have a surprise of a position where you thought one guy for sure had it locked up and now he's competing? Like, where does your mind go when I ask you about maybe a surprise coming into camp?
Yeah, I think the first place that my mind kind of goes is the defensive end position, particularly the guys that are behind Cameron Jordan. Peyton Turner is a name or a number that I feel like I write down or type every single day. Looking at guys like Carl Granderson and Tana Passanio who continue to make plays, everything in the pass rush. And I don't want to leave Isaiah Foskey out. He hasn't been as impactful in the pass rush, mostly because he's learning a new position. They've got him learning that 4-eye technique, which is a little bit more of the inside shoulder of the offensive tackle run stopping. So he's kind of learning a whole new technique. It's kind of like an outside corner moving into the slot for the first time, kind of learning curve. And so I don't want to leave him out of that, but really that edge rusher position or edge defender position, probably more accurately here in New Orleans, has been something that has been a little bit more, a little bit deeper than I expected, and a lot of that has been kind of spearheaded by Peyton Turner for sure, and the way that he's kind of turned the corner here early on in camp.
Foskey's somebody that we talked about yesterday. Like, have you seen him flash? And I agree with you. Like, his role is going to be different than Granderson and Cam Jordan. Like, he doesn't have that body type. Like, he is going to have a specific role within the defense. But have you seen a flash enough to say that he can help the Saints week 1, week 2, early in the season? We don't have to maybe wait to see him kind of flash.
Yeah, no, I've seen a couple of moments from him for sure. It's where, it's been, the kind of things that you see and you go, okay, there's the young rookie kind of doing his thing in the pass rush. And we've also seen him make some plays in the run game as well. And with all that, I think that those flashes are there. You just want to start to see it become more consistent. But it's tough. It's tough at a moment like this. Maybe once they kind of see what they want to see from him when it comes to the run game. When it comes to the run game and everything, then maybe he'll get more opportunities as a pass rusher at that point.
Where are you at with this draft class? Because we always joke when we have you on, like Brian Brzee is somebody that was selected with your first-round pick. He was the guy that a lot of mock drafts had going to the Saints, and it's almost like we knew it was coming. We hoped that it was coming, and then it happened. They're like, okay, he'll be fine. And we don't really talk about Brian Brzee and maybe how he's doing in training camp. So we'll start with him and maybe some other guys in this draft class.
Yeah, I think Brzee's been somebody that I've really enjoyed watching so far. He's just super athletic, especially for his size, which we knew coming into the NFL. We knew that was going to be the case for him. But the other piece of it, and I asked Eric McCoy, kind of like, what's impressed you the most going up against the rookie? And the thing that he actually highlighted was not only his ability to move at his size, but his move set. So the sort of variety of pass rushing moves that he has. And I asked a little bit further, how has he been in terms of stringing those moves together so that you kind of have this punch counter punch as a pass rusher? Sometimes your first move doesn't work. So do you have a second, third move if you've got the motor that a guy like Brzee has, he keep going to try to fight through? And he mentioned that's probably the other thing that he's been most impressed with. So those are all good nods. And I think we saw a good example of that on Wednesday. He had a pressure, Brzee did, right up the middle, right in the face of Derek Carr. It forced kind of an errant throw, maybe one that Derek Carr wouldn't make outside of the training camp environment. But he tried to push it over to the left sideline, and it came up short, and Pete Werner was able to take a diving leap at an interception. He wasn't able to reel it in because when I say it was a diving leap, I mean it was a diving leap. But he still got his hands on it, knocked it away. And that's kind of the 1-2-3 that you want to see over on the defensive side, is getting pressure right up the middle, forcing those errant throws, and being able to capitalize on that in coverage.
A couple of other rookies. Now, Kendre Miller is somebody that I've loved since he was at TCU and watched him not only last year when they were making the run, but his entire career at TCU. And I've seen a couple of clips where he certainly has flashed. And he's a guy that obviously is behind two really good veteran running backs. And so maybe we don't see as much from him, but we will see him. But a guy that we don't plan on seeing, it's probably best if you don't see him, is Jake Haener from Fresno State. But look, the clips are clips, and I've been a part of training camp. I know how that goes, but he's got the clips out there, Ross.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I mean, it's more than just the clips, too. He's doing everything in between those clips, which I think is really, something important to highlight, is that it's not just kind of highlight this, highlight that. It's a consistent thing. He's got this really tight throwing motion. He's, really decisive when he, he kind of, I think he kind of sees the play that he wants to make and immediately takes it with the quickness that you want to see from like a linebacker who's clicking and closing. You know what I mean? To where you can see the play develop in front of you, and the only thing that you should do is trust your instincts and go for it. That's kind of what Jake Haener has done. And, he puts a really good location on the ball. He throws guys open. He throws spots as opposed to receivers throwing where guys are going as opposed to where they are. He's doing a lot of the really, really good things. And you're right. Ideally, you never see that out on the field, because that means injuries have happened ahead or something else has happened ahead. But I'll tell you what, I mean, it's got major implications for some of the, practice squad guys and some of the second string guys, some of the third string guys all throughout the season who get to work with a quarterback that's doing that's able to throw and make NFL throws, as opposed to, being with a quarterback that's not able to make those, and then you're not ready for your game day situation. And especially a guy like Jake Haener, who, especially a guy like Jake Haener, who has modeled his game after Drew Brees, and of course has worked very closely with Derek Carr for so long. Him and Derek Carr are going to talk about the offense, see the field the same way. I think that benefits the guys around them as well.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, he's going to be that guy that runs the other team's offense, because a lot of times, even if you have like a veteran backup like Jameis, he's not going to do that. He would be getting maybe 2 reps with the ones at the end of their reps, and Jake Haener certainly will be getting his team ready to go. Great point there by Ross. Catching up with Ross Jackson, talking New Orleans Saints here on OTB. All right, what about a position that maybe you felt good about going into camp and maybe you still have question marks now after a couple of days? Do you have a position like that?
Yeah, I think linebacker is still that spot for me. I thought for sure that they were going to come in and bring in some veteran guys. I mean, this is the team that brought in, Nigel Bradham when he was 70 and James Laurinaitis when he was 106 during training camps and things like that.
Hey, I'm the same age as James Laurinaitis. Hold up.
No, you're not 106. Stop.
105.
So I think but, when it comes down to that, I thought that, you sort of seen this team's track record with bringing in veteran running backs, veteran linebackers during training camp. And, they haven't done that. And that was a little bit of a surprise to me. And then now you have the injury to Andrew Dowell, which, is unfortunately a season-ending injury. He had it to injured reserve, reported with an ACL by Nick Underhill over at New Orleans Football. And so, I think that that's another spot where you kind of go, okay, well, now that you have the injury, you're kind of forced to respond and potentially add to the position where you might have already been weak and needed that extra veteran presence. But it's not that DeMarco Jackson and Zach Bond and Nephi Sewell and these other guys are underperforming. I just think that it's one of those spots where, there's competition there, so bring in some competition.
Ross, if you had to say this is going to be the player to try to replicate what Caden Ellis did last year, who would that player be?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think DeMarco Jackson is probably in that lane, or get split between DeMarco Jackson and Zach Bond. I don't think there's a wrong answer between the two of those guys, but it could be interesting that maybe they take some of the pass rushing things that they had Caden Ellis do and have Zach Bond do that, who was a career pass rusher with Wisconsin, and then you give some of those off-ball things to DeMarco Jackson, even though DeMarco Jackson himself was a little bit more of an on-ball guy during his time at App State and all that. And so, I think that I would probably give it a mix between those two guys, but I do think that DeMarco has the on-ball experience and maybe is a little bit better in off-ball situations right now than Zach Bond has been. And so because of that, I would give him kind of a nod in terms of being the blend of that style of guy that Caden Ellis was.
Ross, I want to ask you about some injuries before we let you out of here today. Andrews Pete's somebody not trying to be funny, not trying to pop jokes off here, but we've kind of been used to him having nicks and knocks and bruises and kind of being out. So, what's the latest with Andrews Pete and also Alante Taylor?
Yeah, so what we've been told about both is that neither injury is expected to be serious, and that these guys would be back sooner rather than later. But Andrew Speed's already missed 2 practices, so it'll be interesting to see if he's back out there today with that quad strain. The hamstring tightness for Alontae Taylor, if it was just tightness, you don't have to be too concerned about that at all. You just didn't want it to get any worse, and I think that was a good decision by the Saints to say, oh, you're experiencing this? Great, we'll go and sit down. Don't make it any worse. We don't want to lose you for, an extended amount of time or anything like that. So I do think that those are wise choices by New Orleans, but I think the one that you're really waiting to learn more about is Andrew Speed and how quickly he makes it back out to the field.
How much does that affect Alontae Taylor in this battle to be a starting corner, or do you think the plan was probably to kick him inside the entire time?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, kicking him inside, I think it probably, if he misses an extensive amount of time or if he misses a few practices, I think it really impacts his ability to learn the slot position, which is brand new to him. He didn't play it at all, but I think like 44 snaps or something like that in college. Played it a couple times last year, but never starting there. It was kind of what you guys were referencing earlier. It's where you motion your number 1 receiver into the slot to try to get the good matchups and stuff like that. And so, when a guy like Alontae Taylor hasn't played much in the slot, if he's lined up over your number 1 and you can motion that and he's going to follow in man coverage into the slot, into that tight space where he doesn't have a lot of experience playing, then you're going to do that. You're going to take that matchup. And so I think that, right now, I think the biggest thing is the less time that he spends out on the field, the less opportunity he gets to learn that position. And I think that Paulson Adebo has been pretty well ahead so far when it comes to the outside cornerback spot. So I don't know that missing time impacts him there where he was kind of already behind. But if the idea was to get him to learn a new position, then the more snaps, the better, the reps, the repetition, all that stuff is the stuff that he needs.
All right, there he is, our guy Ross Jackson, host of Locked On Saints podcast. You can follow him on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Ross Jackson NOLA. That is the handle there. Ross, you're the man. We appreciate your time as always.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure. Appreciate you having me on. Take care. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you all soon.
All right, you as well, man. A lot of interesting kind of position battles and guys you're waiting to step up for the New Orleans Saints. And when you look at like a linebacker position, you're so thin there. You're wanting somebody to step up. And Ken Jackson, you drafted him from App State. He got hurt last year. Can he be that guy? Because certainly his college tape tells me he can be, but you don't know. And a couple of other positions, like you're waiting for somebody to emerge. Like you have guys that you think can do it, but you're waiting for them to do it. Certainly, being an edge rusher, that's one of them. And a couple of other positions, you're just waiting for somebody to kind of take that position. Like if we're talking corner opposite Lattimore, okay, like who's that going to be? You're talking nickel position, okay, who is that going to be? Again, like you're in a good spot because you do have talented players to be able to go out there and try to grab those positions, but the more you get down the road, you want somebody to actually do it, because if they don't, then that means you don't have what you thought you had, which is a talented player that can give you that depth that you need there, certainly in the NFL. All right, we will take a break, wrap up hour number 1 of OTB when we come back here on this Friday afternoon.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. We tell you every single day because, well, it's true. You can have a live chat with them on the website right now. So if you can't get to the phone, maybe you're already at work, maybe you're sitting at your house drinking your morning coffee, watching OTB, which we always appreciate. Well, as soon as we get done, you can just go ahead and go to getgordon.com and you can have anything answered that you need answered right there on the website. You can also find cases they can handle for you. You can find past client results. All that is on the website. Now, you know that you can always pick up the phone in Louisiana. It doesn't matter where you're listening to us. If it's in Alexandria, in Shreveport, New Orleans, here in Baton Rouge, wherever you're listening, put your area code before the 8s, 888-8888. Have a conversation with the team over there, the G team at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, always on social media, all of them. The handle is at Get Gordon. See what they're doing in the community there as well. GetGordon.com, Get Gordon, and get it done.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
For those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. and backed by the one-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time to slip away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious...
Join me for a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. We'll check in on the Florida State Seminoles and ACC drama with Brendan Sonnone, and John Brady, former LSU basketball coach, will jump aboard. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Come my lady, come my lady, you're my butterfly, sugar, baby. Come my lady, come my lady, you're my butterfly, sugar, baby. Such a sexy, pretty little thing. This April bitch, you got
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into OTB. It fascinates me every time that we talk New Orleans Saints. We talk draft choices, and we start typically like in the third round with like Kendre Miller. And then we kind of work our way back and we'll talk Foskey. Now, I haven't gotten great reports on Foskey, but look at somebody that's going to be, hey, it's third down, go get the quarterback. That's going to be his role in year number one. He's certainly not going to be a three-down line, off the ball linebacker. He's not going to be a three-down edge rusher. Like, he is going to be somebody that's a one-down edge rusher. Like, go get the guy. I mean, that's going to be his role in his rookie season. Then we start talking about Jake Haener as well, not because of his great photos, but because of what he's doing on the field. But we just do not talk about Bryan Bresee. And not in like a bad way, not because he's not showing up. Like every time that you actually do ask about him, everyone that watches the team and covers the team, like, no, he's doing great. He's doing good. Great energy guy, getting in the backfield, all that. Is it because of the position that he plays?
Well, is it kind of a good thing? Because like you
yeah,
said,
I mean, it's not
like
bad, but
everybody expected him to be this first-round pick. It's like, well, he's not wowing us, but he's not really disappointing us either. This is something we kind of expected from a Bryan Bresee. I mean, I kind of think it's a good thing they're not talking about him that much.
Yeah, I think preseason games is where we really get to see those guys, both him and Foskey.
Dominate preseason games.
Hopefully.
Because, Shepard and Saunders, they'll probably be the first in there. Malcolm Roach will be in there as well, just because you're a young player. And even if you're going to be a starter, a lot of times they won't throw you in there. You'll start off with the twos and you'll stay in the game. You'll probably play a full half in the first game. That's just kind of the way it is. I mean, last night when the Jets' first-round picks, he's in there in the third quarter chasing DTR. I'm like, what is he doing in there? But they need to get reps, and he is going – there's some poor undrafted free agent rookie from Montana State that is going to get the business from Brian Brzee in a game. And I feel sorry for that guy already. I've seen that guy try to block a first-rounder before, and it never works out his way. But I'm excited. Maybe more – gosh, I mean, he's one of the top ones, if not the top guy. Like DeMarco Jackson, somebody that I definitely want to see because I watched him at App State. I was very excited when the Saints selected him. We didn't get a chance to see him last year because he got hurt early in training camp. I want to see Brian Brzee. Now, of course – bias here. I want to see the running back Kendre Miller, but I also want to see A.T. Perry. I thought A.T. Perry was a third-round guy. When we were covering the draft in Kansas City and we finished up the second round and KB was asking us, hey, who do you think? Like, who do you think is going to be next? Like, give us a name. I was like, oh, I like A.T. Perry here in the third round. And you get him much later in the draft. I think he is a talent. Is he a final product? No. He has things he has to work on. But that's another guy that I think can go out there and dominate in the preseason and earn his roster spot. It's not guaranteed. When you get drafted where you got drafted, it's not guaranteed that you'll be on the team, but I think he'll do the things necessary to get on the team. In a deep receiver room, Olave, Thomas, Rashid Shaheed. You talk about veteran players like Traquan Smith and James Washington and Brian. I mean, there's a lot of veteran players as well, but if you go out there as a rookie and you show out, you'll leapfrog over those veteran players who are on one-year deals. All right, we'll be back. Hour number 2 of OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to patientplusuc.com, patientplusuc.com. That is the website that you can go ahead and schedule that appointment online. But remember, walk-ins always welcome. And there's going to be a Patient Plus that is going to be convenient for you in the Baton Rouge area. Because we all know things like stitches, they happen. And they always happen at the worst time. Well, they're here to try to make that worst time as convenient as possible for you. That's why they have locations littered throughout the Baton Rouge area. That's why you can schedule that appointment online. That's why walk-ins are always welcome. You're going to get in and get better. That's the tagline because it is factual. Like they've got that digital profile already on you. They know you when you walk in. Again, couple months ago, we get stitches like we're in there and then we're out of there like we're there at 6 o'clock having dinner at 7:15. Like, you just don't get that anywhere else. You'll get it at Patient Plus, patientplusuc.com. Again, get in and get better.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play. with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Offices in Baton Rouge.
Good morning, everybody. It is 8 a.m. on Friday, August 4th. Today in Baton Rouge, expect sunny skies with a high of 100. Coming up on OTB, Chuck Bro joins the show in studio. Coming up next, we talk college football with Bill Bender at 8:30. Billy Embody joins the show at 9 a.m. to talk recruiting. And we talk to Chris Daring of the SEC Network at 9:30. You can follow today's show. Doring, sorry, it's spelled Daring. Spelling messed me up. You can follow today's show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN. Or catch us on YouTube at the 104.5 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. Hour number 2 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz at Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
All right, welcome back. Hour number 2 of OTB. If only if it was Chris Daring and not Doring against Kentucky, Kentucky would have broken that streak way before they got to 31 straight losses to the Florida Gators. That Chris Daring would have dropped that pass that Chris Doring caught in the end zone, and Doring's got a touchdown being the famous call there. Hey, Mario, I mess it up all the time. Not Doring's name, but a lot of names. I'm not going to mess up Chuck Bro, though, because he is in studio with us, and if you're an LSU fan, you already know who this is because you've seen his paintings. You have seen them somewhere, somehow. You've seen LSU baseball, LSU football, you've seen Dylan Cruz, you've seen the Michael Jordan LeBron that he just got done with. I mean, he is incredibly talented. Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, if I'm not mistaken, Chuck.
No,
have you done anything for them?
No.
There's no way Ronnie is not. There's no way Ronnie has not hit you up to do something.
It's Christopher Brown. He's
I'm still shocked that Ronnie has not hit you up to do something.
Yeah.
Well, Ronnie, I mean, you need to go ahead and holler at my guy. Chuck, what's up, man? Glad to have you on.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Always
All right.
fun.
So after the LSU baseball championship, we saw videos of you immediately getting to work. I mean, literally like the final out, and then you started getting to work on multiple paintings. What was that process like?
I didn't want to jinx anything, so I wanted to wait till they won, of course, and then after they won, started looking for pictures. And that morning, Tuesday morning, I woke up and saw the Dylan Cruz cigar picture.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and painted that on that Tuesday. And
that was the first one.
That was
right.
Sorry, the second one. The first one was Tommy White after his home run.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I gotta hold up this piece though that you gifted me, which is incredible. It's gonna be in the office. I mean, look at the detail on this thing. Let me see if I can get it in the frame there. So how long did this take to have the first version of this? And if you're listening on the radio, not watching on YouTube, it's every player from the team. And then there's the dog pile in the middle of the field. I mean, incredible detail. You got Jay Johnson on there. You got Skeens. You have literally everybody. How long did this take and what went into this?
The original is 3 by 4 feet, and it took about 40 hours.
Wait, what?
About 40 hours or so. And then, just
40 hours.
Yeah.
Well, so when you're doing something like this, what's like the most difficult part? is there a difficult part for you? I mean, you just looked at me like there's not a difficult part. Like I went out there and did it.
Really, the faces, make sure the faces are right on everyone. And after that, just kind of go with it.
All right. So you can go follow Chuck on, I guess do we call it X.com? Are we calling it Twitter? The artist formerly known as Twitter. Like, we got to commit to something.
I am on it right now, and it says Twitter.com. So until otherwise.
Oh, it does.
I say Twitter in the intro every day still for what it's worth.
All right, we'll go with Twitter.com until they change the website. Even though you type in X.com, make sure just one X, and it's going to pull up the old Twitter.com. Give Chuck a follow at ChuckBraud, BRAUD, for those of you not from Louisiana. You can check out his work. So after you painted the Dylan Cruz, the Tommy White, the picture that I just showed, what was the response like?
Pretty good response. Huge response. Dylan's dad hit me up on Facebook, and they acquired that original soon after. And,
so they got the OG. They got like the one that you painted by hand. Okay, before you did the prints.
They got that one. I was able to deliver it to them before they left Baton Rouge.
So it's one of one. All right, what do we have maybe in the works? Are we waiting till, like, organically something happens like this one, the baseball championship? I know you just finished a pretty cool Michael Jordan versus LeBron.
Yes.
All right, so what's the inspiration on that one?
Everyone is either all LeBron or all Jordan. I like Jordan, so I had him dunking on LeBron.
That's awesome.
Mario's so excited. Mario loves that one.
Nobody likes both of them, I don't believe. So half the fan base.
Well, I think you pick a GOAT. Like you pick who your GOAT is.
Yeah.
For my age group, it is Michael Jordan. Yeah. I mean, Mario, I think yours would be LeBron, but you very much dislike LeBron.
Well, yeah, just based on my studies, too. I think Jordan's better. 6-0 is better than whatever LeBron's record is. Second best player of all time for sure, but Jordan's number one. So the painting I can get behind.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so what do you have coming up as far as shows where people can find your art? Because, again, I know you're on Twitter and you put some great stuff out there. You put kind of the process on Twitter. Again, at ChuckBraud is the handle there on Twitter. But what do you have coming up? Where can people find your art? Because I know you got a couple shows coming up as well.
I'll be set up at Know the Card Convention in Kenner, I believe, next weekend. At 150-plus tables, booths, a lot of people, a lot of collectibles and all. That's on Saturday, and then at the end of the month with you, and the Casting Center.
That's a big show. It's August 26th, I believe, and
I mean, so, yeah.
Jose Canseco, is going to be there.
Oh yeah.
Like there's other really. I mean, I know Hayden Travinsky, I think, is going to be there. I think Tommy White's going to be there. Harold Perkins is going to be there. That kind of tells my age that I just said Jose Canseco before all those names, but it's still Jose Canseco.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about that, and we'll get you more details on that one. All right, what if people want to, like the print that I just showed with the entire baseball team, or the print that we're talking about, Michael Jordan dunking on LeBron, or any of the outstanding work, Dylan Cruz, Tommy White? I mean, you've done so many. Obviously, this isn't the only work that you've done. I mean, you've been in this game a long time, full-time now for probably, a year and a half?
Year and a half, yes.
Okay, yeah. So where can people find your work? Where can they purchase your work if they want to go and check it out?
They can go to chuckbro.com, go to shop, and for today, go use coupon code OTB. It's 10% off of anything on the page.
All right. Promo code OTB, chuckbro.com. Go there. I promise you'll find something that you love. I mean, I can't believe we got – the thing that I'm disappointed before we let Chuck go, though, you saw how big the painting was that he gave me. It's going right in my office. Very excited for it. He said if T-Bob was here, he was going to bring him a much smaller version because he was going off hand size. And I hate that T-Bob's not here to accept the postcard version of the painting.
Yes.
But just know that was in the plans.
Very
Chuck
much
was forward thinking there. All right, again, chuckbro.com. Go check out the art. Go buy the art. And we'll be together on August the 26th down in South Louisiana. Looking forward to that. Chuck, you're the man. We appreciate you, brother.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me on. Thank you.
All right, we will take a break. More Saints and LSU training camp coverage when we come back here. It is OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, go to centralplumbing.org, centralplumbing.org. That is the website. Now, remember, 24/7 emergency service, and we're kind of not joking. T-Bob's out of town, so that means he doesn't have them on hold all the time. You can call 225-925-8552, and get them to your house. Remember, 24/7 means 24/7. Anytime, any day, holidays, it does not matter. If you have an issue, Central Plumbing can come out and they're going to fix that whenever you make that call. But that's not the only thing that they do. When you go to centralplumbing.org, you can check out all the things they can do for you as far as a remodel. That's at your home or your business. And as you see on the homepage, your business is not going to be too big for them to come in and remodel. They've got the fleet ready to go. So give them a call for the remodels as well. Also, go tankless today with the tankless water heater. Never run out of hot water again. You get home late from the ball field, you still got to wash dishes, you got to do laundry, you got to take showers. Well, you never have to worry if you're tankless, and go tankless with Central Plumbing, centralplumbing.org.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. LSU back on the practice field. It's day 2 of fall camp. We'll have a camp report. And the Saints are back on the practice field. Join us Friday, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
You were right, Mario. I am surprised by this song.
Mario, I have to ask. Before you played this, I said, "Oh, you said it's something you guys wouldn't expect." So I'm like, "Okay, it's clearly going to be a country song." You said, "No, it's something synonymous to my childhood."
Yeah.
So I gotta know, what about this song makes you think of your childhood? I have to know.
Young Taylor, once upon a time, there was a professional wrestler, and he was named The Undertaker. And he had a couple of rebrands, and one of them in the early 2000s was when he was the American Badass. And he used to come out on a motorcycle, big American flag jacket, and this was his theme song.
Was it?
Yes.
I thought it was a Kid Rock song.
No, it was.
Which would make sense.
I believe you.
And WrestleMania 19, which was at Safeco Field in Seattle, where the Mariners used to play, maybe still play, Limp Bizkit performed this song live while The Undertaker came out. And I watched it on TV in New Orleans, and it was awesome.
Nice. No, that makes sense. I was just like, when you played it, you didn't give me any context, and I was like, I have to know.
Yep. Shout out to Undertaker and Limp Bizkit.
I haven't thought about Limp Bizkit, y'all. Very long time. The only time I think about Limp Bizkit is when someone, and sometimes it's me, because y'all know me, I don't mind wearing a backwards hat. Like if I have like a Major League Baseball backwards hat and somebody calls me Fred Durst. You know. Like that's the only time that I think about Limp Bizkit.
I think about them sometimes.
Look, I'm not gonna act like they weren't a track on a couple of the mix CDs. I can't think of a song right now, but I mean, there's a couple.
This one, you got Hot Dog and Frozen, whatever you said at the beginning there with the hot dogs.
Yeah, Did It All for the Nookie. That is one of their songs. Don't know the name of that song. That might be the title of it. I don't know. But Limp Bizkit, did not think we would get there this morning. So well done, Mario.
Thank you.
I want to continue talking LSU and Saints, but obviously there's a lot going on in the world of college football, not in the SEC, not here in this region of the country, but it does feel like it is very important to the future of college football, and that's what's going on out west in the Pac-12. It's what's going on in the Big 12, trying to add some of these teams, the Big 10 trying to add some of these teams, the ACC and Florida State. They had some very strong comments about where they're at in the ACC and their future. And then UNC's president came out and he's like, stop barking, FSU. It's bad for the ACC. So there's a lot going on. Now, where you're at is stable. I realize it doesn't affect the SEC or LSU. But again, I think it affects the future of college football. And it really started yesterday. Brett McMurphy is where I saw it first. I think he had it first. Apple's primary media rights deal with the Pac-12 expires at the end of the week. And so basically, here's the deadline. Get it done before the end of the week. And the proposal is in the low $20 million figure per school annually, but can fluctuate and increase based on membership size and subscription incentives, according to the Action Network's sources. Y'all, $20 million per team? Do you know how incredibly low that is compared to what the Big 10 and the SEC are getting? Do you know how low that is compared to what the Big 12 is giving their schools? The Big 12 is almost double what the Pac-12 members would get. So that comes out and you're like, that's over. It's done. There's no way that Oregon and Washington are going to stay within the Pac-12 because, like, how could they? When they know teams like, no disrespect to them, y'all know I love them, Vanderbilt's getting 4 times that. Rutgers is getting 4 times that. It's like we're Oregon and Washington. We're huge brands. Oregon is Nike, right? When you think of cool uniforms and you think of all the bells and whistles of Nike, you think Oregon. Washington has won a national championship in my lifetime. And Rutgers is getting 4 times what we're getting. So that's a real issue. And so then it later, and I think Pete Thamel had this one first, it later was announced that the Big Ten said, yeah, we'll do some due diligence on Oregon and Washington. We give you the authority, Commissioner Petiti, to do that. Like, you can go out there and you can do your due diligence and find out, how it would work, would it work. And the exact tweet was, the Big Ten's presidents met earlier Thursday morning and authorized Commissioner Tony Petiti to explore expansion and bring them back more information on Oregon and Washington as potential Big Ten members. No offers have been made. And a deal is uncertain. There's political thicket with the potential additions because the moves don't offer the current Big Ten schools any additional money. USC doesn't have a vote, but they've been vocal in the past about not wanting other West Coast Big Ten teams. well, I don't really care about what you want, USC. Texas A&M didn't want Texas in the SEC, but Greg Sankey's like, okay, well, here's how it's going to happen. You're going to like it, or you can go find somewhere else to play. I don't know if he said that, but it feels like he probably could have said that, because what are you going to do? You're not leaving the SEC, just like USC's not leaving the Big Ten. And so if they want to add Oregon and Washington, which are two big brands, it makes sense, because then you would have two more teams on the West Coast. It would make some of your travel easier, because you would always play those teams. You wouldn't have to go across the country. You wouldn't have to go to Ohio and New Jersey and some of these other places that you're going to have to travel. So if you lose Oregon and Washington, and then there's another report today, so many reports. Arizona has a deal potentially with the Big 12 that is expected to be finalized soon. Not like talks and figuring it out, finalized. So Arizona, Colorado to the Big 12, Oregon, Washington, potentially. If you're doing your due diligence, it's farther than the starting process. It's down the road. You lose those four, what do you have? You have Washington State, Arizona State, Utah, Stanford, Cal. I can't imagine Utah is going to stay. Now, there's been a report that Utah doesn't want to go to the Big 12 because BYU's already there, and why would you not want to go be in the conference where BYU was? You have this rivalry game already set up, and it would make it even better, in my opinion, because like there'd be real stakes. It wouldn't be a non-conference game. But Utah's smart. Like, they might not want to, but I can't imagine Utah's going to stay pat. This feels like, and I forgot Oregon State, let's throw them in there. This feels like it's going to end with Washington State, Oregon State, Stanford, and Cal sitting there with no place to go, lonely on the dance floor. Where do they go? Do they go to the Mountain West? Does the Mountain West merge with the Pac-12 and create a new conference? What needle would that move? Would it move a needle, any needle? Well, you know, my first truck was an 88 Chevy Silverado. That needle ain't moving. No needle. No new car, no old car, no nothing, right? I don't know what is going to happen with the Pac-12. It has been a pillar of college football, because even if you don't respect the football out west over recent times, let's be honest with ourselves. They've had some runs. USC, when I was coming into college football, they were kind of in the middle of it, not at the end, but not at the beginning. They were in the middle of it, and I thought they'd never lose a college football game. That's how good they were. We've seen teams, Washington in the early 90s, Colorado, I know they weren't in the conference then, but they were recently. I mean, they've had some success in the past. I mean, we could go across the board. UCLA certainly has had their day in college football. And that might not be a conference anymore. I mean, I would love to get y'all's opinion. Like, what do y'all think? If you lose those teams that we talked about, Arizona, Colorado feel like they're already gone. Colorado we know is gone. Arizona right here expected to be finalized soon. Now, if it's just Colorado and Arizona, you can absorb the blow and still survive. If you lose Oregon and or Washington, you're done.
No, it feels like a slow, painful death. Honestly, it's a little sad, in my opinion.
Well, it actually gets a little bit bigger, Jake. I'm reading an article right now, released a couple hours ago. So Arizona and Arizona State share the same board of regents, and there's a chance that they both go to the Big 12. They're trying to get that done, that Arizona and Arizona State go to the Big 12. So that's one less team. I mean, we were talking for the show, we're like, that's a wrap. I mean, you lose both of those and Washington. It doesn't matter if you have Oregon or not. It doesn't matter if you have Utah. I mean, that's it.
RIP.
Man, think about if I would have told, like, even like I'm older than y'all, but even in y'all's lifetime, if I would have told y'all 10 years ago, the Pac-12, because about 10 years ago, remember, they were going to add Texas and Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. If I would have told y'all 10 years ago this would not be a conference, even y'all's age, like, y'all would be shocked.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had some times where they dominated college football. Not recent. I get that. Not recent. SEC's got that. Big Ten has had that in its past. But just to not be a conference, I mean, does it become a non-football conference? Because, you know, they do brand themselves the Conference of Champions because of the Olympic sports and Stanford and all the things that they do, and others, not just Stanford. How do you have a football conference if your pillars are Oregon State and Washington State? Because Cal doesn't give a damn about football. Let's call it. They've had great players. They've had Marshawn. They've had Aaron Rodgers. They've had good players. Kyle Bowler, shout out. but they don't care about college football. Stanford, somewhat, but they don't have the buy-in that a lot of other teams would have. And so what's that going to be? You're going to add Boise and UNLV and San Diego State and Utah State and those Mountain West teams. I just don't think that does anything. And you don't have Power 5 status. Not that is going to mean anything necessarily here in a couple of years. It feels like it's going to be the Power 2, but that's not going to be a conference that gets any respect.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's not going to be a power conference, 5, 2, 3, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's weird because 2 years ago when it was announced that Texas and Oklahoma were leaving the Big 12, everybody's like, that's it. Big 12's done.
Yeah.
They cannot recover from this.
How about Brett Yormark?
The Pac-12 was still going strong at that point. I mean, they had nobody leave their conference. Now, I mean, half of their conference is going to be gone in less than 2 years. I mean, if you would have told me, you said 10 years ago, if you'd have told me 2 years ago that they wouldn't be a conference anymore, I would have said, no, that's going to be the Big 12. But,
yeah.
I mean, the Big 12's been able to do it as well as they can. They could get Arizona State, Colorado to kind of replace it, Texas and Oklahoma. They're not doing that. I mean, Pac-12 tried to bring in San Diego State for talks a couple weeks ago. That didn't even work out. I mean, can they not even land a school like a San Diego State? I mean, what's the deal with that? It's a little weird. I think they could turn out to be kind of like the Big East used to be. Really good basketball conference, kind of a middle-of-the-road to lower-tier football conference. I mean, I kind of think that's what the Pac-12 is going to be.
I mean, the Big East is like a basketball only, basically, in our eyes, and they go out there, and it's great basketball. I mean, it's fantastic. It's one of the best every single year. I'd say it's second best this year, only to the Big 12. But I agree with you, Taylor, on the Big 12. They were in this same spot last year, and we talked about it. You were at a crossroads. Were you going to go the way of, hey, we can't keep these teams. They're going to go to the Pac-12. We're just going to really buy in and be really good at basketball. Or you're going to be aggressive, and you're going to go add teams. You're going to go find teams that move the needle. And they did a really nice job. They talked to the TV executives. They went and had a conversation with them. They said, which teams can we add that actually do numbers on your networks? And that's why they added UCF, Cincinnati, BYU, and Houston. So Brett Yormark, in a year's time, went from a conference that was on the floor dead to now being the third most talked about conference. I think they're ahead of the ACC. They're certainly ahead of the Pac-12, and they're just adding. And they have outside the box thinking. They're playing basketball games all over. They're doing different things in football. They're having their own combine. They're having media days there at Jerry's World. I know they've had that in the past, but they're trying to make it as big of a stage as they possibly can. And now you're talking about a Big 12 conference that has real juice. After losing your two biggest brands, without question your two biggest brands, you add four that makes sense. Now you're adding Colorado, Arizona State, possibly. Arizona, it seems like, already at the finish line, and probably Utah. You probably get Utah as well. Okay, so you've got a conference that is going to be healthy, that is going to be right in the thick of it. They're not going to be the SEC and Big Ten. Nobody is. But you're ahead of the ACC already. And again, Brett Yormark had the initiative to go do what he's doing. George Kliavkoff, Pac-12, what are you doing? Are you doing anything? I mean, it is a hot mess. You were going to go from the CW, which we joked about, but that got stolen from you by the ACC. You were going to go to ION after Murder, She Wrote. You couldn't get that done either. Apple TV knows that you can't do any, you have no leverage. Why would Apple offer you anything more than $20 million per team? You have nowhere to go. The next stop is gas station TV, like we talked about the other day. Watch Pac-12 while you're paying at the pump. That's the only channel that's left. Nobody wants you. So Apple's not going to overpay for you. You have nowhere to go. Last year, you had a game, USC and Oregon State. It was a great game. It was a marquee game that week. I wanted to watch that game, and I couldn't get it done. I didn't have a way to watch the Pac-12 network. Now, I went to the app, and I got a 10-minute free trial period. I got to watch 10 minutes of football. And it ended. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just log in. I've got Hulu. I've got DirecTV Now. I've got whatever service you have to have. I figured I had it. They had 4 cable providers that I have never heard of in my life. Never. And I lived in Southern California where I was like, maybe it's a West Coast thing. No. 4 that I've never heard of in my life. I couldn't watch one of the best games in the Pac-12. That's an issue. And that was last year. And it's only gotten worse. You've got no leverage. You didn't make the right plays. You didn't take the right deals. Whenever you had a chance to take over the Big 12, you didn't do that. So now they take you over. Now they're adding 4 potentially your teams. They're adding 4 teams that you wanted to keep. And by the way, they added BYU and Houston, 2 teams that you absolutely would have added after you lost USC and UCLA, because Brett Yormark didn't wait around. He was the aggressor, not the counterpuncher, and now you might not be a conference. And it's sad. It is not something that I wanted to have, because I think that when you have good football across the country and it's spread out and there's a regionality to it, although we're getting so far away from that, you've got the SEC and the ACC, right? Then you go to the middle portion of the country. You got the Big 12 and you got the Big 10. Now, I know Big 10 East Coast a little bit, but you have some teams right there, Midwest in the middle of the country. And then you had the Pac-12. And so there was a portion of the country that still got excited about college football. Are they still going to have that same excitement in the new conferences? Maybe they do, but it's going to have a different feel because you don't have something that is yours. You feel like you are renting a space, not owning a space in these new conferences. And let me tell you, it takes a long time to feel like you're an owner once you get into that conference. Ask Missouri. Missouri went to 2 straight SEC championship games, and people still make jokes about them not being in the SEC. Texas A&M still has to hear about them not really being an SEC member. Now, it feels a little bit closer than it did, but think how long it's taken. Over a decade for them to feel like they're a part of the conference. Does Nebraska feel like they're part of the Big Ten to anybody in here? Like, truly, do they feel like they're part of the Big Ten?
Not really. They're always Big 12.
And it's Nebraska.
Yeah.
One of the biggest brands that we have in college athletics.
No, that was like for me, like when I saw Colorado was going back to the Big 12, I was like, that just makes more sense to me. Like Colorado, a lot like Nebraska, always feels like a Big 12 team.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of we could go across the board of realignment that, like, you don't feel like you're part of that conference still. West Virginia. You don't feel like you're part of the Big 12? Does anybody think Big 12 when they think West Virginia? No. It's hard. It takes a lot to become an owner in a conference. So the whole portion of that country, they're not going to have a tie to that conference. It's going to take them a long time, those teams, to integrate themselves into that conference. And again, man, it's just a sad deal. And I don't think it's great for college football, but it's the world that we live in now. We'll see what happens, what it looks like at the end. Somebody that covers it day in and day out, that's got it covered from every single angle. Bill Bender of the Sporting News will join us next to talk about this and more.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Haniger, join us for Live at Lunch Friday from Ruffino's on Highland Road. Bruce Marshall is with us, and Jimmy's back from vacation with a lot of football going on. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We're riding down the boulevard. We're riding through the
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into OTB. One of my absolute favorites in this business joins us now, Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Give him a follow on Twitter at BillBender92. Bill, what's going on, man? Always a pleasure. It seems like we've got some dominoes that are falling in conference realignment, something you and I talked about the other day on Off Campus.
Yeah, that seems like a month ago, and that was Monday. It's been a week, man. I just read a tweet from Dan Wetzel that, the Pac-12 might not be dead after all, and the presidents are going to meet, and they're going to see what they're going to do. There's a lot of moving parts, obviously, but perhaps they agree to this Apple TV deal and not gut a conference. And I was just getting ready to write a column about what a shame the death of the Pac-12 would be.
Same way. We just talked about right before you came on. I don't want that to happen. I don't think it's good for college football. There's a region of the country that would not care at all about college football, in my opinion, because even though you still have the teams playing, those Southern California fans don't know anything about the Big Ten, and it takes a long time. Like, that is a decade-plus process. We were talking about Missouri and A&M. Like, it took them so long to integrate themselves into the SEC. I would even argue, even though Missouri's been to 2 championship games, fans still joke about them not being in the SEC. Nebraska, they still don't feel like a Big Ten team. Rutgers, and we could go across the board. Like, it takes a long time, and so there's a whole portion of the country, Bill, that I feel like would just be kind of blacked out of college football.
Right, and it's one of those things that you're exactly right. There's things I've talked to you for years and consider you a friend, obviously. There are a ton of things about the SEC I don't know from growing up. And, those little traditions and there's so many little things. And I'm sure it's vice versa with how you feel about the Big Ten. It's like there's some things I take for granted. It takes years to learn those traditions and years to get into a conference. I know Big Ten fans that still consider Penn State an outsider, and they've been in the conference for 30 years.
That's a great point. I mean, they were an independent for a long time, and I think a lot of people just assume they've always been in the Big Ten. But you're right. I mean, it took them a very long time, and so like that's not something that even if you're a huge brand, it just does not matter. Like it takes time to learn. You're exactly right. I love the way you put that. Little traditions and different things. Like I joke with Bobby all the time when off campus. Like, why do y'all play y'all's games so early? Because at LSU, Bill, you know this, we fight for the latest possible game that we can have. Like, we want all the night games. And Bobby's like, no, we want the noon kickoff. I'm like, noon kickoff means you're playing a bad team in the SEC.
Well, yeah, we like that noon kickoff. It was just what Bobby and I grew up with.
Right.
And obviously, Bobby and I are from the same hometown, and it was you were just conditioned to watch your games at noon. I love it when an Ohio State or a Notre Dame or a Michigan plays at noon because it's like, okay, those are the teams I came to watch, and you go from there. So that's why, like you said, I mean, how many of I was texting some of my buddies yesterday, and I feel like our friend circles are probably pretty similar.
Yeah.
I was like, how many of you are going to stay up late and watch Minnesota and Oregon on a Pac-12 game? And my one buddy was like, I'll be in bed by 11.
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be some matchups that just do not make any sense. Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. Texas A&M and LSU had a history before A&M joined the SEC. They would play all the time in the 80s and early 90s. It took a 7 overtime game that was 74-72 for that game to actually mean anything because LSU dominated the series once they came back. I mean, so it was like 8-9 years, Bill, and that's a bordering state. A&M and LSU, they're not that far from each other, and it took a game that we have never seen before for that to move the needle.
Yeah, and it really does. And, I think the SEC probably has the right approach to all this. I know Heather Dinich reported earlier in the week, Greg Sankey told her that, they're standing pat on 16, and there's no reason for the SEC to add any more teams. And I know what Florida State made some news the other day with their trustees started. It was loud, right? That was a very loud statement from their trustees about not an if, but when they're leaving. But they can't go anywhere with that grant of rights deal. So, point being, I think the SEC is being wise to kind of let's integrate Texas and Oklahoma. Let's move forward with 16. That's going to be weird at times, but the more teams that the SEC and the Big Ten add, and they might, the more teams they add, the worse for college football it is.
Bill, when we look at the Pac-12 and the reports that Arizona is basically at the finish line and joining the Big 12, if you lose Colorado and Arizona, I still think that you can be a conference that is strong. You can add a couple of teams. You have a foundation there. If you lose Utah and Arizona State, Utah really stings. It does, but I still think you have a foundation where you could be a conference depending on who you add. If you lose Oregon and or Washington, I don't think you can lose another brand like that and still be the conference that we've known it to be.
Right. I mean, once it gets down to 6, you're scrambling. So, like I said, there's reports that these Pac-12 presidents are going to meet, and we'll see if they, can salvage. I think they can get away with losing Arizona. Much like I thought, if Colorado goes, that's fine. If they get down to 8, that's probably fine. As long as Washington, Oregon, and Utah stay, there's some validity to that conference because those 3 programs have, since the college football playoff era started, they are among the 25 Power 5 schools that have the best record, best winning percentage. That gives you 3 schools that you and I would talk about on a weekly basis and at least say, hey, Oregon, Washington, Utah. Utah stayed in the playoff mix the last 3-4 years. So, and then they would probably, add some Mountain West Conference schools, and San Diego State will be back in the Pac-12 for the second time this summer or something, but it'll get wild.
Oh, it certainly will, and there's so much to break down. I mean, the Big 12. So real quick before I want to get to some LSU stuff, but the Big 12, adding Colorado, adding Arizona. Let's say they add Arizona State and Utah. I mean, they are firmly in third place in my opinion. I think they personally already are over the ACC. But what about the job that Brett Yormark has done? I mean, he stared death in the face last year. At this time, they were in the same position as the Pac-12. And now they're thriving. They have had some ideas that other conferences haven't had. You love the 4 teams that they've already added. If they add these 2 other teams, I think that still makes a splash. And Brett Yormark deserves a lot of credit for what he's done because the Big 12, they were on the mat. They were down. They were out. How are they going to be a conference? And now they're kind of thriving.
Yeah, I mean, I would have never – I don't think I wrote that when Texas and Oklahoma left. I was probably among the many writers that wrote that the Big 12's in trouble, the Big 12's dead, but the way that they've been able to laterally move and make some great aggressive plays, he has been the aggressor. And I saw some people noting last night that remember that alliance between the Pac-12 and the Big 10 and the ACC, and the Big 12 was getting picked on a little bit. You know that from growing up on the playground. Like, if you pick on somebody enough and they can hit you back, they will. And that's exactly what they did to the Pac-12. So, but I will say this. When I look at the Big 12 and I look at the totality of the teams they have, I still don't see a Power 5 conference. I see something that's kind of like in between.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that as well. Catching up with Bill Bender of the Sporting News here on OTB. All right, Bill, before we let you go, I want to get your thoughts on LSU. We always like to get an outsider's thought process on the Tigers. Certainly the expectations for the Tigers this year are incredibly high. We've broken down a couple of different times just on today's show who they have coming back, some of the areas where they're the strongest, the weakest, whatever it might be. Where do you currently have LSU as we head into the season?
I mean, they're top 5. We have them at 5 in our preseason top 25, right in the mix with Georgia and Alabama and Michigan, Ohio State. I mean, those are the 5 most legitimate national championship contenders, in my opinion. LSU has worked their way into that conversation. And, obviously Brian Kelly spoke about can they, catch up with Georgia, and not quite there yet, but able to compete. The one thing they have working for them is the best returning quarterback in the SEC with Jaden Daniels. And I mean, the good news is we'll get to see right away, because if they're not a national championship contender, that means Florida State is. That's going to be a wonderful game in week 1.
That game, so if you're Florida State, you've got that game in week 1, and then you've got Clemson in the fake Death Valley in week number 4, and that's – I mean, you're going to know exactly who Florida State is and probably how their season ends, it feels like, after 4 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, the hype around Florida State, they need a split in those games because, as you know, no 2-loss team has gotten to the 14 playoff.
I love a 2-team national champ, though, Bill.
What's that?
I love a 2-loss national champion, though.
There is a 2-loss national champion. There's only one, and I know you know who that team is.
Yes.
But, it will be very interesting to see how they get through. If they get through September, I mean, the Jordan Travis hype is going to be through the roof. Their offense is going to be very good. I'm very excited about Florida State LSU. I think it is probably one of the top 3 games of the month, if not the top one, because I mean, a lot of people, Texas, Alabama, and I'm partial to Notre Dame, Ohio State.
Yep.
But I don't think that Notre Dame, Ohio State game will have the same national championship playoff implications that Florida State LSU does.
All right, Bill, I lied. One more before we let you go. Every year, I always pick a team that I kind of fall in love with, and they're like a team like, hey, watch out for this team. Not saying they're going to win a national championship, but I think they're going to be better than a lot of people think. Last year, it was NC State. That didn't really play out well. They only won 8 games. Devin Leary got injured. He's no longer there. This year, people are telling me I can't choose this team, although I feel like I can. It might be TCU because they picked 5th in the Big 12, 17th on a lot of preseason polls that I've seen. Do you have a team right now that you feel like can make a run to maybe double-digit wins? Maybe that's kind of where we set the line at. Double-digit win team that nobody's talking about right now.
Well, I'm going to go in the same conference, and you can laugh at me later, but, I mean, remember when Kansas was 5-0 last year, and they were rolling, and then Jalen Daniels got hurt?
Yeah.
Jalen Daniels is arguably the best quarterback in that conference with his playmaking skills, and he was so hot early in the season. Now they're going to have to beat some teams they shouldn't, which is always the program step that programs like that have to take. But with Lance Leopold, Big 12 being a bunch of one-score games, they have to beat Kansas State. They haven't done that in a while, but they're kind of the same conference, right? TCU, Kansas, Kansas State. Any one of those teams could win 10 games.
Yeah, Lance Leipold's one of those coaches that we said a couple of weeks ago, you drop him in the middle of the country, you give him no resources, no recruiting pipeline, and he'll find a way to win. So that's not a bad selection there, Bill. Bill, you're the best. We always appreciate your time. We'll catch up with you soon.
Hey, no problem, Jacob. Thanks for having me on. Take care.
You as well. Bill Bender, Sporting News, at Bill Bender92 on Twitter. Fascinating stuff with the Pac-12. And just, you got some reports that say people are happy and they're going to sign the deal. You got other reports that teams are literally on the finish line of joining another conference. I don't really know what to make of it, but somebody in the chat brought up ESPN Plus and Apple Plus and kind of the differences. And someone was saying, you sign up for ESPN Plus, why not Apple Plus? Here's the difference. With ESPN Plus, I can watch ACC, I can watch SEC, I can watch Big 12, and I can put up 6 games at once. With Apple TV Plus for the Pac-12, I would have to exit out of ESPN Plus, go to Apple Plus, and just watch a singular conference and not multiple conferences. We're not even talking about the G5 games that are available on ESPN Plus. That's the difference. Is someone going to leave all of those games behind to go click on Apple TV Plus to go to a singular Pac-12 game? Even if you have like a quad box and you got 4 games going on at once, they're all still Pac-12 and not across the country like you can on other services. And I think that is one of, if not the biggest difference. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, there's a New Orleans Saint that signed a new contract today, one that I think everyone and every fan will be pretty excited about. We'll tell you who that is when we come back here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast.
Hey, son, join me for a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. We'll check in on the Florida State Seminoles and ACC drama with Brendan Sonnone, and John Brady, former LSU basketball coach, will jump aboard. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into OTB. I mentioned there's some news involving one of your favorite New Orleans Saints players, and that is Cam Jordan gets a 2-year, $27.5 million extension. Incredibly well-deserved. Glad to know that he is going to be in NOLA for multiple years. He is the ultimate pro. He still has some juice left in the tank, in my opinion. Can somebody help this man out? Can somebody on the opposite side of Cam Jordan get a rush so he can get a one-on-one block, for God's sakes? Can somebody help him, Mario?
Hopefully, man. Either way, legendary career he's put together. Really glad it's going to end in New Orleans.
Yeah, me too. I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer, 8-time Pro Bowl selection. He is the Saints franchise leader in career sacks, and he is somebody that has been, again, the ultimate pro, done everything great in the city as well. We'll be back, hour number 3 of OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
the best-kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Good morning, everybody. It is 9 a.m. on Friday, August 4th. Today in Baton Rouge, expect sunny skies with a high of 100. Coming up on OTB, Billy Embody joins the show up next. And at 9:30, we talk to Chris Doring. You can follow today's show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 1045 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. Hour number 3 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, Peter, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
All right, welcome back in. Hour number 3 of OTB here on a Friday afternoon. Let's talk a little LSU recruiting. To do so, our guy Billy Embody joins us, of course, now doing big things for On 3. You can follow him on Twitter at Billy Embody. Billy, what's going on, man? We always appreciate the time.
Oh, not too much. Just another day. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, hey, just another day in college athletics where you don't really know where teams are going to be as far as a conference the next day.
Yeah, how about that? What a wild twist and turn that the Pac-12 is going through right now. The emotions on that one are absolutely insane.
I know. Look, I know we're here to talk LSU, but you also cover SMU, and they've been one of the teams that's been rumored potentially to go to the Pac-12. Like, is that something they talk about, like, daily? I know you're kind of boots on the ground more with LSU, but SMU's like one of those teams that's like, hey, I kind of hope the Pac-12 maybe loses some of those teams because maybe we can get in on that.
Yeah, I think the catalyst for this potentially coming together would be Colorado moving to the Big 12, which was kind of that trigger that we thought would see other schools follow. But, I mean, just like this whole realignment thing and TV deal with the Pac-12, expect the unexpected. And it seems like momentum is now back toward the league sticking together and signing a media rights deal, which would pave the way for SMU and potentially San Diego State to get in.
Yeah, it's back and forth. It's wild. As this team's leaving, these teams are staying. Oregon to Washington, due diligence with the Big Ten. It's just who knows. And who knows when the dust is going to settle, because we thought once the season started that maybe we'd have a break and hit the pause button, but we certainly have not done that, just like we have not done that in the world of recruiting. A couple of big LSU targets out there, a couple of five-star guys that LSU's kind of waiting on, Colin Simmons being one of those players, Dominic McKinley being another. I mean, those are big-time guys that can completely change the direction of your class. Not that LSU has had a bad class. They've gotten a lot of the in-state talent, which is something that all of us always pay attention to. But if you get just one of these players, we're talking about a completely different class, aren't we, Billy?
Yeah, absolutely. It needed that true five-star star power, for lack of a better way to put it. And Colin Simmons, who now has his decision set for August 10th next week with Caden Durham, his four-star running back teammate there in Duncanville, both guys right now, a lot of momentum around LSU landing both of those players, and to do it at a program of Duncanville's stature would be really impressive to pull them out of the state of Texas. And look, LSU has put in a ton of groundwork for both of those players over the last year or so to be in this position to land both. And with Colin Simmons, we see what Harold Perkins did just from a disruption standpoint coming off the edge. Well, Colin Simmons is one of the best guys to do it as of late, a top 5 prospect, number 1 edge rusher in the country. He can ruin opposing offenses' game plans pretty quickly, or even change them to allow other guys to make plays. That's how good he is. And when you talk about landing a pass rusher to set the next stage for LSU's pass rush, it's critical in this class. B.J. Ojulari left. They're kind of putting it together with some new faces this year. But, if you get Colin Simmons in 2024, realistically, your next 3 years of a pass rusher right there with him. And then Dominic McKinley, you mentioned him, the Acadiana defensive lineman, who's the number 1 player in Louisiana. He oozes with that potential and that size and athleticism and production for Acadiana. And LSU had him on campus for the Bayou Splash, him and his family, which was really critical after not getting him on campus over the course of the summer. Other programs out of state like Texas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M have really been the kind of front runners to pull him out of Louisiana. But I think LSU made a step in the right direction with that Bayou Splash visit. And he is closing in on making a decision here before his senior season, from what we've been told. There are some programs out of state, like 3 I mentioned, that do feel like they're in position to get him. But LSU is hanging around and at least made a statement by getting him back on campus for the Bayou Splash. They keep things really close to the vest in terms of his recruitment. But, there's a little bit of optimism now around LSU and Dominic McKinley. We'll see if they can turn that into one of the biggest lands this cycle. And a guy that really has kept things so close to the vest, you almost have a little bit of concern around him. Sometimes when guys keep it quiet, that isn't necessarily a good sign. But to get his family on campus was really important and something that wasn't a sure thing by any means. But they all came over to Baton Rouge for that Bayou Splash, and now they just need to buckle in and try to get him over the next few weeks if he does make that decision before his senior year.
Bill, let me ask you something that might seem like kind of a dumb question. Even though Colin Simmons is certainly the higher rated player, he's top 5 in the country, and McKinley's somebody in the top 25, it almost seems like getting McKinley because, again, from the state of Louisiana, BK and the staff, they've made it a priority to try to put a true fence around this state in every direction, not just South Louisiana, but every part of Louisiana. Like, is he the bigger get for LSU just because of where he's from?
I would probably say so, just from the standpoint of you have somebody that over the course of the summer there wasn't much buzz around LSU in a way. The sources just kind of remained optimistic that they were going to at least get their shot and get him on campus.
Yeah.
And if he does make the decision before his senior year and LSU does get him, it's one of those examples like Tylen Singleton where you didn't have him on campus for a while. But over the course of the last few weeks, you saw Tylen Singleton pick up momentum with LSU, and he ends up committing, which was a huge get for LSU. And again, another statement in Louisiana to get Dominic McKinley, a defensive tackle, much, in a way higher recruited than Tylen, would really say a lot. I mean, you're going up against a Todd Bates, a Elijah Robinson, a Bo Davis, guys like that who have done it a long time on the defensive line front. And especially Elijah Robinson and Todd Bates have had a lot of success recruiting D tackles over the last few years. It's stiff competition. And so if LSU can pull it off, especially just, again, not having him on campus that much over the summer, that would be really the bigger get, because Colin has truly shown a ton of LSU interest over the last year and a half and since LSU entered the mix. So they've always been a player there. Dominic McKinley blew up. Things, just exploded for him, and LSU jumped on him. But there wasn't that consistent, feeling that LSU was as in it as they were and are for Colin Simmons. So for Dominic McKinley, if they do get him, it's almost just a touch bigger of a statement for them to bring him in.
Going back to Colin Simmons, because he is top 5, but I just think guys from Louisiana, obviously with LSU, that's kind of always where you start, but they do seem like they've made up a ton of ground lately with Simmons. Like, how much different is it, let's say, a month ago compared to where it is now in his recruitment?
Yeah, I think a lot changed, and especially with the Bayou Splash visit, getting his mom, grandma, brother all in Baton Rouge, I think that was a really big moment. And LSU has made up a lot of ground over the last month. You know, Texas came off that official visit and really was feeling and is feeling like they have him. And this is going to be one of those interesting recruitments where I think both programs with a decision date set feel like they've done enough to get him. And that's where the intrigue comes in with Colin Simmons is, will anything change over the next 10 days? Because when you set a decision somewhat close in terms of, you know, timing, where they set a date and a week or two later there's an announcement, most people would tell you that following recruiting, a decision is done. And so for LSU to get him on campus for the Bayou Splash and then see the decision date set and the buzz around what LSU has put together and just kind of checked all those boxes, at least behind the scenes from what we're hearing, that's a really good sign for LSU that they were able to not necessarily as much make up a ton of ground because they were right in it, but because of how good Texas was feeling coming off that official visit, it would really be an impressive pickup.
Catching up with Billy Embody on 3 Sports. Good enough to join us here on OTB. All right, we've talked about the big 5-star guys, but look, I wouldn't be true 2-star status if I didn't ask about other players, Billy. So let's go away from the 5-star guys. Who are some other players that LSU might be close to finding out what their decision is going to be?
Yeah, I mentioned Caden Durham, a guy who's on the cusp of being a top 100 prospect. He averaged 9 yards a carry for that Duncanville team. He was the state championship offensive MVP. He rushed for 1,900 yards. It just kind of does it all and looks physically ready to be in at the college level. He's somebody that is announcing with Colin Simmons. I don't think they're a package deal, but I do think LSU has really taken the momentum there and away from Oklahoma, where he's got a lot of ties, and feels very good about their position to get him, is LSU. They've done a ton of work with Frank Wilson, Sherman Wilson, and others to be in the position to get him. But also Jelani Watkins, a 4-star wide receiver from the Houston area, a speedy slot who LSU's been on for a long, long time. He keeps his recruitment relatively quiet, but now it seems like there's more momentum than ever that LSU's going to reel him in and complete that wide receiver class they have.
All right, he is Billy Embody. Go follow his work on On3, doing a fantastic job. Anything that you've got coming up? Are you working on anything that the people need to be on the lookout for?
Yeah, as these senior seasons approach, we're seeing some of these decisions get made. So who knows outside of Caden Durham and Colin Simmons when those decision dates will be set. But as they are and as we monitor some of the buzz around these top targets, that's what we'll be paying attention to, as well as fall camp. Shay and Maddie B over on the site with me are killing it on the practice updates and video and all sorts of content from practice. So give it a follow at thebengaltiger.com.
Billy, you're the best. We appreciate your time as always. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Very interesting when it comes to recruiting. And there's been a change, like more guys now, which I actually enjoy. They commit earlier. Obviously, that early signing period is a big reason for that. They no longer wait until February, and you kind of know what your class is going to look like. But it's always interesting because LSU is in a very unique spot. And again, I said very unique. I said I wasn't going to say that yesterday, but you know what I mean. And the guys from Louisiana, you got to get them. Like, that is why LSU is because you have this talent-rich state that is a smaller state, but it has so much talent. And you can go dominate that state, and some of the best teams, I would argue the best teams, are built through Louisiana. Yeah, you're going to have guys like Matt Flynn and Joe Burrow and Matt Mock that are from other places, Jamarcus Russell to play the quarterback position, but look at 2019 with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jefferson and Chase and some of those guys and Cushenberry and all the captains on that team, guys that are now doing it at a high level in the NFL, Louisiana guys. And so it's always going to be a point of emphasis. And so McKinley is a very talented player. It's almost a player that you feel like you've got to have to feel like you've really put this special class together. Now, if you can get Colin Simmons, make no mistake about it, he is a game changer. He is a true top 5 player in the country. So if you're going to get one of those players, I know it sounds crazy, you want the guy from Louisiana, but if you get him, he'll never be sad about that. Go watch his huddle film if you don't know who that young man is, because he is special. Not going to be special. He is already special and feels like an impact player from day one when he steps on a college campus. All right, we'll take a break. We still got Chris Doering or Chris Daring, depending on who you're hearing it from, coming on here at 9:30. He's such a good dude. He's actually doing SEC this morning, but they have a taped interview at 9:30, and he's going to come on while the taped interview is being played. So it might not be right at 9:30. We'll have to see when part-time Peter Burns takes a break, and it'll be at some point around 9:30. But look, we still got a lot to get to here. Stay locked in with us. It is OTB.
OTB, OT.
I want to once again tell you to go to allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com, allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com. In the first segment, we told you about the new vehicles that you can go customize your vehicle, get whatever you want. Everything's available because, of course, it is. It's new vehicles. So everything on the lot is available, and you can customize everything that is on the lot. But we want to spend a little bit more time telling you about the rentals. The rentals is something that we have all here taken advantage of, because you can go to the dealership, tell them what you need. Do you need something better on gas mileage for your trip? Do you need something bigger for your trip? Do you want to test out that minivan because you're not about that minivan life just yet, but you know you're about to have to be because of your situation, and you want to test it out? Trust me, it's okay. Be in the minivan game. It is cooler than you think. Go test that minivan out today, that Sienna that we tell you about all the time, and you can do so per day rental prices over at All-Star. You can find those rental prices on the homepage of their website, allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come home in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Moscona, inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. LSU back on the practice field. It's day 2 of fall camp. We'll have a camp report. And the Saints are back on the practice field. Join us Friday, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I only talk to God when I need a favor, and I only pray when I ain't got a prayer. So who the hell am I? Who the hell am I to expect a savior? Oh, if I only talk to God when I need a favor, but God, I need a favor. I know.
OTB OT with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
Get that winning feeling from the gridiron to the diamond and beyond with the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Check it out, y'all. With money lines, props, parlays, and more, you bet your favorite sports and take shots at massive wins. And right now, new customers have an incredible deal. Use the promo code Baton Rouge to sign up. All one word, Baton Rouge. You get $150 in bonus bets instantly for betting $5 on anything. How about that? Remember, if you're a returning customer, you can always take your winnings to the next level with the DraftKings same-game parlays, okay? So open up the app, place your parlay, combine a bunch of bets, get that bigger payout. What are you waiting for? Promo code Baton Rouge. Bet $5 on anything, $150 in bonus bets instantly. Must be 21 or older, officially present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. Licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537.
All right, welcome back into OTB here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. My man Nookie inside the Bayou Ford chat. About time for a girl dad update. Yeah, baby Harlow is 6 weeks old already. I don't have the girl dad hat. Not a fan of the girl dad hat. Like, I'm just dad. I'm dad. And so Bustin' with the Boys has a great line. They got hats. Now it's not going to fit Domer Pyle here, myself. They got great shirts. And just say dad. So dad life is going great. Of course, in the thick of football season already with all of the crew. Found out our flag football names yesterday.
Yep.
By the way, baby Harlow is fantastic. 6 weeks old, sleeping like basically through the night. My wife's the goat. It's been incredible, Nook. To answer your first question, Memphis got the Tar Heels, baby blue uniforms. Let's go. We were watching. Moscona was actually pulling the names. Memphis very excited that they were the Tar Heels because I just knew that they were going to either be a maroon team or the Gators, which is just a no-go. No-go for me. And then the 4th grade team were the Ducks. So the kids fired up. Ducks uniforms, the brightest, the loudest out there. And again, we avoid the maroon and we avoid the Gators.
Since
That's
y'all
all
are
I care
the Ducks,
about.
are y'all going to have to switch conferences pretty soon?
I mean, we will if the price is right. I mean, if somebody's
That's what I was
offering a better
wondering,
media rights deal, we will certainly.
Yeah.
Now, that playbook's going to be like old school Oregon. Like players going in motion all over the place, double handoff, reverse passes, all that. We'll be ready to go. Just did not want a maroon team. Like y'all feel me on that, right?
Yeah, I feel you.
Okay.
Well, so
okay.
my junior high team out in Walker, we were the West Side Gators, and we were blue and orange. So for years, I'd have to go into a Fanatic store or something like that, and I'd look for the blue and orange with Gator, but it couldn't say Florida, it couldn't say UF, anything like that. I was like, do you have something with just the Gator head?
Yeah.
I was like, do you have just the Gator? And it was hard to find. I found a couple, but
So that is,
we
that,
were
that
blue
is
and
funny,
orange.
and not that anybody cares about this, but you know what? We're here, so we're going to finish the story. Whenever we found out the names, some of the other dads that coach, they were sending the gear, all the gear, because you want to have the same as your team, you want to have a coaching shirt, something nice. And it's been a hard search. We were the Hokies one year. I'm like, I'm not wearing Virginia Tech logo. So I found the old school Turkey Hokie logo, and I had that. We were the Irish one year. I'm like, I'm not wearing the D interlocked. I'm not doing that. So I found a big Shamrock shirt. I'm trying to think what we were. Last year we were the Broncos. So I just cheated and wore my old Denver Broncos.
Yeah, that was easy
stuff. But we were the Longhorns last year in the kindergarten league. I'm like, I can't do it. So I've got to find if it's Longhorn football, sign me up for that. But I can't bring myself to wear somebody else's logo. And I know that seems petty. I know that seems ridiculous, but like the only branding I'm going to wear is LSU. I don't mind wearing like Longhorns or Broncos or Tar Heel football. I can't wear the logo.
No, that's where I was. And like literally for years, I was like, do you have anything that says Gators or the Gator head?
Yeah.
I was like,
Can't say
nothing
Florida.
related to Florida. Yeah, and found a few, but it was kind of difficult.
All right, I want to talk real quick. I want to go back to LSU football because obviously it's what's on everybody's mind as they started training camp this week, and they're going to continue on. It's only going to pick up. I want to ask both of you this question, but before we get there, Mario, can you pull up Brian Kelly 11? Because I want to talk running backs here. I want to get your thoughts on the running back position. Here is Brian Kelly talking about one of the guys that we've been waiting to see where he was on this LSU football team.
He had to finish up an internship today. Final. He's in great shape. Thanks for asking the question. He has done everything. He has been fabulous to work with. We're proud of his accomplishments, and he'll be with us tomorrow. But he had to get an internship finished up today, finish that paperwork, get that turned into the registrar's office. And instead of rushing out here, with his shoes untied and kind of running on the field, we just said, take care of it. You've gone this far and worked this hard. Get that taken care of, and that's what he's doing today.
And, of course, that is John Emery that Brian Kelly was talking about. And full disclosure, I've had great conversations with John here during this time period. He is focused. He is working hard. I know there's a lot of comments about the other things. Let me tell you something. John Emery is a good young man. And I mean that. I don't mean that because I'm purple and gold glasses. That is from having conversations with him. There is things that happened in his past that he's had to work through, but he has worked hard, and him being on this football team gives the team a different dynamic at that position. We saw it last year. We've seen it in his career. And this football team needs John Emery to be the John Emery that we have seen him be. So explosive on the field. So that is good news. Kelly 13 here, Mario. There's another running back, though, that is adding himself to this LSU roster, somebody that a lot of us are familiar with because we saw him play in high school. And, of course, we're talking about Logan Diggs coming over from Notre Dame.
He's a guy that I know very well, and I know what he's capable of. He's very smooth. He's physical. He's got a great burst, and his ability to stay on the field on all three downs. He knows protections. He can catch the ball coming out of the backfield. So, I know him really well. He looked good. The question with him was his health. He had a hamstring that we had to work through most of the summer, which limited him, but he looked healthy, and that was really the biggest thing for me to see that he was healthy today. And he looked good. He felt good. And he just adds to the depth of that room, which is going to be as complete and as deep as any running back room that I've ever coached.
He's not lying there. Look at this run. Now, LSU has been very fortunate to have a room similar to this before. I always go back to my team. I was a starter, but we had a lot of starters. We had Charles Scott, who maybe – gosh, I still put him as like maybe the most underrated LSU running back of all time. Like Chuck was a dude. Keelan Williams, Trenton Holiday, Richard Murphy, a young Stephen Ridley. You had two fullbacks, Sean Jordan and Quinn Johnson, that were studs. One was like the number 4 heavyweight in the world in the UFC world, and then another played like a decade almost in the NFL. It was a very, very loaded backfield. This one might be better, and I think it is. You've got Logan Diggs. You've got John Emery. You have Josh Williams. You have Noah Cain. You've got Armani Goodwin. You've got Trey Bradford. People forget, like, Trey Bradford is back. Now, what a journey it's been. LSU, Oklahoma leaves, comes back, and he's been back and forth a ton of times. But you have him. During the summer workouts, I believe he won the workout award one week. I mean, he's putting the work in. Now, how much can you count him? I don't know, but he's there. He's made plays in an LSU uniform. I mean, this is we're not even talking Trey Holly, the state's all-time leading rusher ever. All the names that we could throw out there, like Trey Holly has more rushing yards in high school than anybody's ever had. You've got Caleb Jackson as a freshman. This is a deep room, and I want to throw this to Mario and Taylor. I don't know how it's going to play out. You're going to have a different back probably in each game, just like we had in 2007. You had it in 2011. You had it in 2003. Now, JV ended up being the guy in 2003, but you still had Ali Broussard, Sharon Carey, Joseph Adai, Barrington Edwards. You had a bunch of guys that played that year. And you're going to have like an RB1 but I've said it 1,000 times. An RB1 and a bell cow, it's a different conversation. How do y'all feel like that rotation is going to play out?
Yeah, like you said, you're going to have a lot of bodies there. I mean, we know what Williams can do. He represented the team at SEC Media Days. You know he's going to have a role. Diggs was really good at Notre Dame, and like Kelly's saying, he has the familiarity with him too. I'm sure Kane and Goodwin will both play a role, but I agree with everything you said about John Emery, and I've kind of been saying that all offseason. Like, I get that he hasn't put up the stats like consistently throughout his career, but throughout his career, you have seen flashes of it, including last year, which contributed to a division championship. So the talent is definitely there with John Emery. It looks like he's getting his off-the-field stuff taken care of, which is really positive. And I think he's going to play a role, despite all these bodies there. I think he's going to play a role in this football team.
Yeah, he'll play a role. A lot of people play a role. Now, having said that, I think Josh Williams is your starter. I think he's earned that. I think that if it's one of those, you have to have a play made, whether it's a block, whether it's a run, Josh Williams is going to be in the game. Yeah. He was that guy last year. Yeah. We saw a lot of that as well. I think Noah Cain, he was really good in short yardage last year. He didn't have the burst that a lot of people thought. I think he could be a short yardage back. The guy I like, but he just can't stay healthy, is Armani Goodwin. I mean, if he could stay healthy, he's got a skill set that a lot of those guys don't. Logan Diggs, he'll play a factor, whether it's in the passing game or some third down work. Emery, look, he'll have a role, but I'm always cautious on Emery. I mean, he's obviously talented, but I mean, I do. I think each person on the team's going to have a role, but I think Williams is your starter. Jake, I'm looking at the numbers right now because I remembered it being pretty lopsided. Okay, last year against Arkansas, terrible offensive performance. Yeah. LSU had 286 yards of offense. 127 of that was Josh Williams.
Yeah.
That's half your production. You do not win the game without him. He averaged 6.5 yards per carry that game.
Yep.
I mean, there were games last year where you relied on him heavily. Yeah, and he was key in multiple games. He was big in the Alabama game. There was
without the ball.
There was a 3rd and 7, though, late in the fourth quarter. A lot of people don't remember. They did a draw on 3rd and 7. I mean, he broke 2 or 3 tackles and got the first down. That set up the Jaden Daniels play to Mason Taylor in the back of the end zone. I mean, he was big in big moments. I think that continues in 2023.
You do not have to talk me into Josh Williams being the guy. Y'all know this. I have been a fan of his ever since he has been at LSU. People continue to doubt him because of how he got here. It doesn't matter how you got here. It's what you do once you get here, and he has certainly taken that job. He will be a factor, just like a lot of those running backs will be a factor, a deep and loaded running back room for LSU. All right, before we take a break, I want to remind you, go to RejuveMeMedical.com. Go to the website today. Get that consultation set up. There's a lot of things that you possibly could have going on, and they can help you out. Go to the website, find a list of conditions that they can treat, the services that they can give you over at Rejuve Me Medical. 855-905-0977 is that number to call. Always online, though, RejuveMeMedical.com. All right, Chris Doring, when we come back here on OTB.
OTB, OT. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green. This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to Six Rings Baseball.
Hager, join us for Live at Lunch Friday from Rufino's on Highland Road. Bruce Marshall is with us, and Jimmy's back from vacation with a lot of football going on. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Josie's on a vacation far away. Come around and talk it over. So many things that I wanna say. You know I like my girls a little bit older.
OTB OT with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
All right, let's hurry and get to our next guest because he's actually still doing his radio show SEC this morning over on Sirius XM channel 374. Just like Cole was on the show yesterday and we were on his show at the same time, CD's technically doing a show right now. CD, Chris Doring, always a pleasure. One of my great friends. Hey, CD, who are you with today? Who's the co-host?
Dory Noka's on today.
Okay.
So we kind of rotate these days since you've been gone through PB, Alyssa, and Dory. So very comfortable, all those 3 guys, obviously.
All right, one staple is Christopher Paul Doring, and we're glad to have him here on the show. CD, before we get to the football, we got to break it down. How did wearing the LSU full baseball uniform to media days, how did that play out for you?
You know what? It played well on social media. Everybody got a good laugh at it. It was uncomfortable. It was obviously painful having to pay up another failed Florida LSU bet. But I do appreciate you and Greg Stringfellow for getting me the finest in gear. I mean, I got to be honest, I feel like I looked pretty good in purple, to be honest.
No, I mean, we're looking at it right now in studio, and purple's your color. Like, I know LSU wasn't at its best when you were coming out of high school, and you went to PK Young right there on campus, and so you were always meant to be a Gator. But I'm just saying, if you would have been in the purple and gold with some purple tights, you would have looked good.
Who's the last really good white wide receiver from LSU? We can't put Besh there. Maybe his uncle was a really good one back in my day, but I don't know that they are as promoting of white wide receivers as perhaps Florida was.
Let's see. You had Trey Quinn, didn't really work out.
How long of a career are we talking?
SMU. You had Sammy Martin, like way back in
Abram
the day.
Booty, probably.
Abram Booty from my high school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good name drop. Oof. Okay. Look, we'll find one, and we'll send it to you because there's one. I can tell you a white running back.
I can tell you that as well.
All right, CD, obviously wanted to have you on. Training camps are now started. We kind of know what the teams are now. Now with the transfer portal, we kind of got to wait until training camp comes until we actually know the final form of the team. But I want to start with Florida, and then we'll end with LSU. A lot of pressure on Billy Napier and the Florida Gators, although they're doing big things in the recruiting world. Right now, you and I were at SEC Media Days, and we were trying to get to 6 wins. The schedule is brutal. So what are you expecting from the Gators this year?
It's crazy. You just said the pressure is high on Billy Napier. He's entering his second year there. I mean, to think about what the expectation level is for fans these days for the teams is just ridiculous. So I don't know that the pressure is as high. The fans expect some sort of improvement. I don't know if it's going to be measured in wins this year because of the schedule that you mentioned, but I do think that this is going to be a much improved team. And talking to people that I really trust that are around the program, they feel really good about Graham Mertz and what he's going to be able to do in taking over this offense. That obviously loses a big piece with Anthony Richardson moving on. I think the running backs will be the real core of the offense. The offensive line made a big jump and improvement last year from the previous year. Credit Rob Sale and Coach Napier and some of the rest of that staff for that. But I think the biggest improvement, guys, will be defense. The defense was miserable, like historically miserable last year. And that is not, placing blame at the feet of Patrick Toney. They just were understaffed in terms of skill on that side of the ball, particularly the defensive line. And I think they've gotten better there. And then they bring in Austin Armstrong to take over that defense. Like, I am a huge fan of his, and I think he is a future star in this league for sure.
Yeah, I know him a little bit, and I know one thing about Austin Armstrong. He's going to be aggressive. If you watch the spring game, my man's bringing corner cats in the spring game. I don't think that I've ever seen that before in my life, CD.
Well, that's part of the issue. Everybody's down on Florida's offense, but I don't think they set up the game very well for offensive success or quarterback success specifically when you're bringing corner cats and cover zero blitzes against an offensive line that's down 2 potential starters. You're not exactly setting up your quarterback for a lot of success.
All right, let's go to the LSU Tigers because I know you've got to go because you're literally hosting a radio show right now. Now, we talked a lot about LSU at Media Days, and this is a team that when you look at the first 22, you feel really good about it. There's a couple of positions that you don't really know where that depth is going to come from, but they've got the most important position figured out, which is the quarterback position, and one of only 2 SEC schools that has quarterback and coordinator coming back this year.
Guys, I put Jaden Daniels on my list of returning quarterbacks in the number 1 position on the SEC network the other night. What a difference a year makes. Like, I wasn't even sure he was going to be the starter this time last year. The word was that they needed him to be the starter because of all the youth and experience on the offensive line, and that his ability to run when things break down was going to be a real asset for them, which it was. But what about the jump that he made? And unfortunately, I got to go back and reference the game against Florida. That was kind of the turning point in my mind of him not only becoming a quarterback that was really good with his legs, but a guy that could make the big throws. That third down I feel like LSU converted like 75% of the third downs that night, and most of them came on really good decisions with tight throws into small windows. Like, he really impressed me, and I think the confidence that he gained in that game carried him through the rest of the season. So I'm huge on him. Malik Neighbors might be my favorite wide receiver returning to the league this year. He and Juice Wells are at the top of that list, and Nia Smith is there as well. But really feel good about the pass catchers as a whole, the defense and the move of Harold Perkins Jr. on the interior and what that can do for, letting him be more of an impact player instead of just rushing the ball and being a spy. He's going to be able to do a lot more in that structure. So I'm high on LSU. I picked LSU to win the West, to return to Atlanta again this year, and I don't even think it's close, to be honest with you. I think everybody's talking about Alabama, but I think LSU should by far be the favorite in the West this year.
CD, before we let you go, have you responded to Danny Cannell calling you out about taking BP? He played professional baseball, so I think he needs to chill out a little bit.
Well, he did, and he also learned from what we did. Let's be honest. The ACC network, the ACC folks, steal our content, which we came up with.
They did.
But he learned from the mistake. Like, if I would have known, I would have shown up with a 34-inch bat. I wouldn't have been out there with a little toy 32-incher. Danny Cannell, I think he BYOB'd and brought his own bat along with him. And it looked like he had a comfort with that stick that I didn't have with my little toothpick.
Yeah, no, it wasn't going 95 like our machine was going. I'm just saying. I mean, it looked more like 86.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be a guy that uses excuses, but I'm going to continue to use some excuses because it was one of the most embarrassing parts about the whole thing is that every other person, including Chris Childers, stepped up and was able to at least get contact on the ball. So it's it's a humbling moment for me.
It's all about redemption next year in Dallas. We'll already set it up. I've got faith in you. You and I will take some batting practice before we go out because we both need to perform a little bit better. All right, I lied. Last one. I know you got to go.
No, you're fine.
Next time, I saw you do the all-SEC East team, and I've got no complaints outside of one. It had 0 grit. You know why it didn't have any grit? You didn't have a by-God fullback on there.
Hey, how about this, Hess? Like, I feel like I was the first one to go in this exercise. Stench went last night with SEC East defense, but I was the first to go. So I'm treading in uncharted waters. Not only did they not give me a fullback option, they didn't allow me to go with individual offensive linemen. They made me lump one group together. I think there's a lot more notable offensive line groups from the West than there were from the East. So I did go with my former 95 group just because I felt like that was a really good core group of guys that I was very familiar with. But if I break it up into individual offensive linemen and add a fullback, it looks much different and less Gator concentrated that way.
Okay, well, when you go SEC West, just tell the producers, tell Brad, I need a fullback on the SEC West team. Look, it can be Peyton Hillis. I don't care. But you got to have a fullback. Tell him this team needs a little bit more grit.
Well, here's the deal. You better reach out to Roman or Taquillo because one of those guys is going to be doing the West offense and the other will be doing the West defense. So we need to lobby to those
TK might throw a fullback in there with a neck that size. How can you not appreciate a fullback? CD, you're the man. We appreciate it as always. Thanks for coming on, and I'll talk to you soon, bro.
Yeah, love you guys, man. See ya.
Yep. I got Chris Doring. Pre-Gaming the SEC, by the way, will be back soon. It is the podcast that CD and I do together, breaking down all things SEC. We'll probably kick that up in about 2 or 3 weeks from now. We usually get like a week 0 preview as kind of our initial launch. That's brought to you by Walk On Sports Bistro, of course. So very excited to start pre-gaming the SEC back up with my guy CD. All right, we're going to take our last break of the show. Remember, we're going to have the final segment like we always do, maybe an extended version. We're getting a break on time. Ask the Bench brought to you by Cola Coors Light, Vizzy Hard Seltzer, and Blue Moon Light Sky Citrus Sweet when we come back here to close out OTB.
OTB, OT.
Go to ITI Technical College, iticollege.edu is the website. Again, remember, ITI caters to the industry here in Louisiana. So if you have thought about getting into drafting or construction management, they can help you accomplish those goals. You get that AOS degree in 2 years. Doesn't matter if you're day classes, night classes. It's 4 days a week. It's the same amount of time. You're a full-time student either way. You're learning from faculty members that have at least 4 years of real-world experience. You're working on scale models, 3D models, replica models of the facilities you'll be working on in real life. And it's a family-owned Baton Rouge company, business campus right here in Baton Rouge. ITI Technical College. Invest in yourself.
We always like to tell you that they're going to have a schedule. They're going to make sure that schedule fits your schedule, and you're going to be able to get to the finish line. Well, remember, those classes don't start until August the 29th. You still have time. iticollege.edu.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have.
Join me for a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. We'll check in on the Florida State Seminoles and ACC drama with Brendan Sonnone, and John Brady, former LSU basketball coach, will jump aboard. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
First, tears for fear.
OTB OT with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment here on a Friday. I said afternoon, I think like 3 times. I don't really know. I got an afternoon show. You should probably listen to that too, off campus, 2 to 5, Sirius XM, College Sports Radio, Channel 84. Be with Roddy Jones. Probably talking a lot more like Pac-12 and Big 12 and a lot of things, but hey, we'll sprinkle some SEC certainly in there as well if you're looking for something to do this afternoon. But this is Friday morning, so wrapping up here. Let's go to Ask the Bench, brought to you by Cold Coors Light, Vizzy Hard Seltzer, Blue Moon, Light Sky, Citrus Wheat. Ask the Bench, should I go to Twin Peaks to celebrate my new job? That's up to you, Scott. I would choose somewhere else to go. Like, obviously, I'm a Walk-On Sports Bistro guy. That's just where I like to go, maybe to celebrate some things. That's on you, Ricky Bobby, wherever you want to go. Mario would go to Burger King. Taylor, I don't know where you would go.
I like to bounce around. I don't have like one specific place.
Man, y'all are lacking the lodge mentality. I'm disappointed in y'all.
I can feel I somewhat think you're being serious though. Yeah, see, exactly.
I tell Taylor, I do give them props for being open late. There were a lot of times after LSU games that they were the only place open, like after the late games.
I went a few weeks back with a buddy of mine, and it wasn't bad.
Okay, well, congratulations on the new job, Scott. I know you're fired up about that. And if you want to go to Twin Peaks to celebrate, by all means, go have you some Twin Peaks. The only time I've ever been to Twin Peaks was in Arizona at the Fiesta Bowl. Gordy was going to take me and Cookmeyer to dinner. He's like, hey, you want to come to dinner? I'm like, yeah. He's like, it's on me. I'm like, all right, let's go. He pulls up to Twin Peaks. He has gift cards to Twin Peaks, and that's how he paid for dinner. That's the only time I've been to Twin Peaks is when Gordy took me there in Arizona for the Fiesta Bowl because he had gift cards, which, look, I'm not hating on a good gift card. Ask the bench, do you have fond memories of nighttime hanging with Hester? That seems like a million years ago. Like it truly does, because we had nighttime hanging with Hester, then we had 1 to 3 hanging with Hester, and then the pandemic happened, and we made some changes, and it was me and Hanny together for, I guess I was probably a year, and then now obviously the last almost 3 years, well, 2.5 years, which is crazy as well, here on Off the Bench. But I will say some of my favorite memories in radio were 6 to 8 hanging with Hester. The rules felt like they were a little bit different, even though they technically weren't, and we had a lot of fun. And, you know, there's some uncertainty there with like co-hosts and who's going to show up, who's not going to show up. I don't miss that part of it, but the content, I certainly miss it because we had a lot of fun. And T-Bob brings a lot of that to the morning times as well, so it's not totally gone. See, ask the bench, should Friday be a flashback Friday with the music intros like radio stations do? I'm down to do that. I'm always down for a theme. Like anything with a theme, I can certainly get behind that. So, sure, we can definitely try to do that on a Friday. I mean, you can do it any day, like Throwback Thursday, Way Back Wednesday, however you want to do it.
This might be weird, but I've been trying to kind of limit my nostalgia lately. I feel like there's just so much nostalgia in the world and like content. I'm trying to kind of look ahead instead of look back.
Ooh, see, I'm the opposite. I like looking back.
Okay.
I like looking back a little bit because, to me, music is a core memory reminder. You hear a song, like if I hear Tony Rich Project, I know exactly where I was, Ridgewood, middle school, Sadie Hawkins. I know I had a pack of Mambas in my hand, and I know it immediately. Like it brings me back, and so music is one of those things that does that more than anything else, in my opinion. All right, I think we're going to have full squad on Monday. T-Bob's going to be back from California. We'll have the full OTB team here in studio. Looking forward to that. We'll know a little bit more about LSU football. Stay locked in here to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB, OT.
All right, go to accutantbr.com, accutantbr.com. Get that appointment scheduled today. Remember, you can schedule that appointment online. So if you're at work already, you're at your desk, and you're listening to the show, don't worry. We're not going to tell anybody. But obviously, you can't just pick up the phone maybe because you're, air quotes, supposed to be working. But you can go ahead and schedule online on the website, fill out all your information, and they're going to be at your house. Chances are they're going to be there today. You tell them what you've got going on. They're going to send you a profile, a picture, a breakdown of who is coming to your house so you know exactly who's coming to your house, his experience, the resume, and it's going to help you have peace of mind to who's entering your home. And once they get into your home, we tell you every single day because it's factual. The internet hates everything, but they love AccuTemp. You can check out the online reviews. You'll see exactly what we're talking about because the ratings are through the roof. Go to the website again, get that appointment scheduled at accutantbr.com. Call them at 225-725-7802.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's government taco, voted best taco